Have you ever watched something that completely rewired your brain chemistry?
A procedural network drama might not be your usual pick, but it's ours.
This is The Buddie System, a 911 deep dive podcast hosted by three friends who have DM'd each other enough character dissertations to earn a PhD in media literacy. I'm Han, coming to you straight from the characters' heads.
I'm Sil, bringing you to the observation deck.
And I'm Rachel, connecting the dots with my red string. With our powers combined,
No stone is left unturned.
and no buddy is left behind. This week, we talk about Maddie's Little Mermaid moment.
Hen's best birthday ever.
And Eddie's pawn becoming a queen.
Yeah.
Yes. The re-yassification of Eddie Diaz, bitch.
Checkmate.
Oh my God.
This episode brought to you by Data Up 4 Revolution. Welcome to the Buddie System.
This is our 6th special episode covering season 8. Today we're talking about season 8, episode 12, titled Disconnected, written by Molly Green and James Leffler, directed by Tessa Blake.
We'll also be talking about season 8, episode 13, called Invisible. It was written by Lindsay Bolio and Taylor Wong, and it was directed by Brenna Malloy. All right, so let's get into what we thought about these two episodes that just worked so well together as a little unit. We have Chef's Kiss. It's before we go into the Hunger Games of 14 and 15. Yeah. Han just did the three finger salute.
What is it called?
I don't remember.
It's like the tribute.
Oh yeah, the tribute
thing.
from Hunger
Yeah.
Games.
Yeah.
What have we learned today? Dad up or shut up? Add up, nut up, and shut up.
Nut up and shut up.
The lessons. The lessons of the week.
Oh, the lessons you'll learn.
Oh, the places. But also, the places you'll go.
All the places you'll get buried alive. So interesting.
Or the
I'm
places
sure
that you'll pick
means
people
nothing.
up as an Uber. You know,
Mm-hmm.
going all over.
We learn to also not make stupid financial decisions like someone does and buys a death trap for a house.
Yeah.
He's fixing it. It's fine. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. It's fine.
It's a metaphor.
It's a metaphor.
A metaphor for himself. He's fixing himself.
He's fixing
okay?
it. And it's starting
Because
to
he's
come together.
broken. Oh. So I am obsessed with these two episodes. I think
Rightfully so.
they're probably in my top 5 of the season.
Ooh.
I want to say.
Ooh.
They're really good.
Yeah.
Especially 13. I really, really liked 13. I'm so glad we're finally back with Chris. I missed Eddie and Chris so much. I needed them so bad. 12 was painful. And 13 just like healed my soul while also making me burst into tears every time I watch it, think about it. So Maddie's storyline, actually, there's just a lot of tears for everything except Hen. I felt really bad for him, but I also was like putting myself in Hen's shoes and I'm like, oh my God, I would be crashing the fuck out if this happened to me. So I had a lot of empathy, and especially when she was like, I realize this is silly, but like it's really embarrassing that it hurts so much. And I was like, oh my God, I'm a Cancer. That's my entire life.
that is kind of your brand.
It's really funny because like the Hen stuff would make me crash the fuck out. But also like, I think what I do so that I'm sure that maybe nobody forgets, I'm like, several days before, I'm like, yeah, my birthday's next week and yada, yada, yada. And maybe I'll just like bring it up casually.
Slide it right in there.
Start planting the seeds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just like,
So then-
just in case.
And it's okay. Like if they're like, when's your birthday again? I'm like, that's fine. But at least like it's in their brain,
Their brain cells bouncing around up there somewhere. I thought these were really, really great episodes. A lot of really good character work. Which is my favorite. A lot of really good, like, humor mixed in with the really emotional stuff. Just love it. I loved it. Except for Helena, like, she can just, like, rat in hell. I hate that woman.
She could get run over by a Denali.
Maybe a tree will fall on her.
Or a tree. These two episodes were very cohesive. in terms of getting Eddie's plot together. And you know, like, I think what's interesting is like even the calls feel like they parallel Eddie a lot more than the other characters that were also plots of the episode, because we had Maddie in 12 and we had Hen in 13. So and I feel like there's a lot of foreshadowing which we'll get to. There's a lot of foreshadowing and I hope it really does pay off, because like I'm banking on a lot of this.
Yeah.
That we're gonna discuss today, or else I don't know.
Yeah.
Asylum Part 2 is what I'm about to see.
We're gonna say it with our full chest. Like this is what's happening. No.
I was kidding about the asylum. That's all I gotta say. Because I'm pretty sure I think people got mad when people were joking about the asylum from season 7.
Yeah.
For context.
I don't
about
think
Eddie.
I was joking. I literally don't think I was joking. I was like, this man needs to be put into a 72-hour hold, because he's obviously had a mental break.
Yeah, we were half joking, half entirely serious.
Listen, I mean, when we started the podcast, we were gonna do these episodes called clownery specials, but like that is just
kind of a
what
moot
if section
point.
now. The clowning is just mixed in because like it's not clowning. We're just like convinced of stuff.
Yeah.
Until we're shown that we're wrong.
We're making educated guesses and educated wishes.
We're making educated wishes.
Yeah. Yeah. But
and it's not, and honestly, with the way the writing has been going for season 7 and 8, especially 8, it's kind of like I don't feel like I'm clowning anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's the thing. Like it's all kind of on the table. But yeah, I'm just gonna kind of reiterate what you guys have said. I think the writing in these 2 episodes has been so strong and well done. Like they were just really enjoyable episodes to watch, like all around, even with the characters like going through painful things and experiences. It was just like, it was so well done. It's like very classic 911 in the way of like, it gives us very character driven stories, but it does kind of go back to like the emergencies do play if it's not paralleling, it plays a big part in the character stories, right? So like we may have like all of the parallels to Eddie, but it's still like Archie's thing played a big role with Hen as well. It just like, and the performances have been so good. Like it's so good. What can I say?
I mean, they're always
2 episodes they're always good, but these 2 episodes were just like fantastic.
Yeah, when they really get to dig into the meat of like that emotion, the personal stuff that's like outside of calls, I think is when
it shines the most. And these are just a joy to experience and watch. And I will definitely be rewatching these. Like, not like I wouldn't be rewatching literally everything else, but
yeah, but there's certain episodes, you know, that you rewatch more than others.
Yeah, I think
these 2 have a lot of rewatchability, especially together.
High.
Yeah, definitely together.
So I think we're gonna just gloss over a couple of the season themes that we see in these episodes, and you know, throughout the season.
So kind of similarly to what we saw in our 8/11 special, I feel like these 3 episodes specifically were very similar in theming, but these 2 were kind of an expansion on some of those themes that were kind of introduced or reintroduced in 11. So we have, I mean, obviously this is a series thing, but love and family, you know, all of this stuff had so much to do with I mean, mostly Eddie's just like dealing with family issues. And then you also have like the parental relationships as well. You see a lot of, and things are just like sprinkled in every so often. We also see again, I mean, episode 12 is literally called Disconnected. So we see again, disconnection and reconnection. So kind of like what we said last time, that feeling of being displaced either physically or emotionally. Maddie is literally disconnected from her voice, which means she's disconnected from her job. Eddie is disconnected from Christopher, but also his life in LA. Christopher is disconnected from Eddie, but then you have that reconnection. So everything kind of like reaching out and mending bridges, kind of like what Bobby did with 11, where he reconciled with his mom. Eddie kind of finds that like neutral ground for him, not really neutral ground, finds that middle ground for himself. And of course, I think one of the biggest themes was finding your voice, quite literally, for Maddie, but also with that feeling of like invisibility. You have to like find your voice in order to, you know, show that you exist in the world and stand up for yourself, take a stand. And we see that for everybody as well. So finding your voice and combating that with like feeling of being ignored, unseen. Being seen is huge as well. And then as we were rewatching, I was like, oh, nightmares are brought up more than once in these 2 episodes. And I thought that was very interesting. So nightmares coming true, literally Maddie's nightmare, and Eddie says it, all sorts of things. And in kind of relatedly, this fear of failure, right? Nobody wants to fail. And there's so much pressure that is either put on these characters by other characters, like the pressure that Ramon and Helena are putting on Christopher with chess, but also Eddie is putting pressure on himself to impress Christopher and his parents. So all stuff like that. And it was interesting because under pressure was such a big theme in season 2, especially with Under Pressure 201. And so I think we find a lot of parallels with some of like Maddie's and Eddie's storylines from season 2 in these 2 episodes as well. Okay, so I think we'll just take a couple minutes to talk about some of the behind the scenes, the mystery of the behind the scenes for these couple episodes, because we usually like to talk about the production, kind of like the background stuff, what we know of, and kind of postulate about it. Well, we don't know much, but boy, were we confused.
Hey, 911 Productions, can you please just tell me what the fuck is going on over there? Like, how are you?
I don't think they know.
No. How did you guys finish? Like, how did you guys get 813 together when you guys were literally shooting like 6 days ago? Like,
movie magic. Okay, so like there was some weird stuff going on. We know that 911 films on a block scheduling, so they do like kind of a collective of filming at a time, rather than like this episode 1 week, this episode the next week. It's kind of all mishmashed.
Do you think it has to do with like the locations?
I'm sure it has to do with location availability.
Yeah.
But there was also there was just like some weird stuff with the production codes that made it very confusing for us to like know like who the director was for which episode, because we thought they were switched. So episode 813, so Invisible, was code 815 because they have different production codes. And it's weird because that means it was filmed after Sick Day and Lab Rats, which are 14 and 15. So 813 was production code 815. Sick Day was production code 813, but it's the 14th episode. And Lab Rats, which is the 15th episode, was production code 814. So because Invisible was 815, they were filming it after they did all of the other stuff. So I think there was when Aisha did her Instagram story takeover on ABC's 911's Instagram, they were wearing the same. She and Ryan were wearing the same costume, the same outfits that we saw in this episode. And that was on like March 20th. That was literally like 2 weeks ago. So it's kind of wild, like the quick turnaround that's happening with this episode specifically. And I have an idea, or like a theory, that it was probably due to scheduling and shooting that ambitious 2-parter, which is 14 and 15, which we'll see in the next 2 weeks. And they probably had to do that because if they're going so big with it because they're really hyping this up. I would imagine that they'd need more post-production work after filming. So like more visual effects, more stuff like that, which would take longer than the usual turnaround. So I have a feeling that's probably why those were filmed beforehand. But that's just my idea. Anyways, it's been
and permits
and permits. Yeah. Other than that, it's been very confusing, but I think we've basically figured it out. But interesting stuff to go behind the scenes. This is Rachel reporting from behind the scenes.
Rachel from the not streets.
From Buddy System News.
Oh my god.
Back to you, Sillingham.
Oh my god. We should do like Buddy System breaking news.
Actually, that would be so cute.
That would be cute.
Breaking Buddy News.
We could just do that on Fridays with the like TLDR of like Buddy updates from the new episodes.
Oh my god!
Like, are they canon? Yeah,
yeah, I love that account.
But it'll just be like the breadcrumbs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like we're
the
here.
Buddy developments.
We're following the trails. We're connecting the dots. We're connecting shit.
Connection.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna get into some character highlights, and I think we're gonna start with good old Maddie.
Sweet Maddie. Oh,
sweet, reliable, poor Maddie.
She's
having an Ariel moment.
She really is.
The storyline was really sad.
Yeah. It was sad, but it ended up very heartwarming.
We get jump scared, just like Maddie does at the start of episode 12 with a nightmare sequence. So interesting.
A nightmare, you say? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But this is the kind of dream that I have all the time. It's terrible.
Do you really?
Yeah, I pretty much have nightmares all the time. If you're ever wondering why I'm constantly just not well rested, it's because even when I sleep, my subconscious is torturing me.
I'm like,
I don't know.
I was gonna ask what kind of nightmares.
It can range anywhere from like apocalyptic, like Hunger Games, a zombie apocalypse, that kind of stuff, to just like I'm getting kidnapped, I'm getting like chased like it's a slasher film. The people I love just hate me, but it's never good stuff, like ever.
I get secondhand embarrassment.
You get secondhand embarrassment from your dreams?
No, I was gonna say like half of them are secondhand embarrassment ones because I'm like, why did I do that when I wake up? And then the others are the prominent one is a tsunami dream. And see what I did there. And no, for real. No, for real. And the thing is, I don't know what it is. It's almost hereditary because like my mom and her mom, and I think my aunt, so her sister, have also had the same dream of like being at a beach and a tidal wave, like a big tsunami. Just
that's generational trauma. That's like, no, that's seriously, that's like a psyche thing.
Oh shit. I should look into that then.
You should look into that.
No, and it's funny because like the wave does come and I don't die. And then the second wave comes and a third wave comes until I finally wake up. Yay.
That sounds awful.
You guys ever died in your sleep?
I don't think you can.
No.
Interesting. I don't think I have either. I always wake up.
I've had a couple of dreams where like I was falling and then I woke up before.
Oh my god, I hate the falling sensation. That's the worst.
I usually only get those when I'm like drifting off to sleep and then I'm like awake. But my stress dreams, it's funny because yours are tsunami. Mine are usually either tornadoes or cruise ships. And I know this is funny saying after I've just been on a cruise.
You guys have like 911 disaster call.
It's not B-NATO, it's regular tornadoes, but more often it's like cruise ships. Funny.
This is why this is the TV show for us.
Like capsizing or crashing into something, sinking, getting Yeah. Those are my stress dreams. I have Yeah,
I mean, like, luckily I never really remember my dreams. But I do know, like, that most of the time, if I dream, it's bad.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. My subconscious is a bitch, I guess. She's really anxious. I think that's where my anxiety lives. It's like I'm treating it. I treated it like consciously with therapy and the anxiety meds, but my subconscious is still like, no.
Let me out.
Anyway, so the nightmare sequence, truly creepy, truly fucking creepy. Like that sensation of like someone you love just like being like, ha, 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 while you're
bleeding out.
Yeah, and it was like no one was noticing anything wrong. It was like she was invisible in her own dream.
You're calling for help and no one can hear you, which is like a common thing.
And then just to have her like decide, okay, I'm gonna jump back into work, kind of like how she did after Doug.
Yeah, which I feel like is her version of like immersion therapy or just like facing her fears.
Yeah,
and just wanting that sense of normalcy, which like I get, but it's like
it's her not running away.
But when your sense of normalcy comes from the place that gave you the trauma, like maybe we take a beat before we go back.
Huh.
But yeah, I love how supportive Chimney was. He was like, that doesn't really make sense to me, but like, whatever.
You do you, and I'll support that. Like,
basically.
That is literally what anybody could want.
Yeah, that's
just
so
like
cute.
a supportive partner who has your back. Oh, imagine.
It's husband of the year.
Yeah.
Every year.
He really does deserve husband of the year.
Maybe someone someday will go for the title for husband of the year.
So.
See what I also did there?
Oh, you mean and making it into a competition?
Oh my God. So
is there a competition?
No. I don't know what this is. I love how Maddie, I love how they went the psychological route. I figured they would, that it would be a trauma thing and not just like a physical thing, even though the physical thing would have made sense because like her being alive doesn't even actually realistically make sense.
Waves.
So I was briefly like, oh, what if something's actually wrong with her vocal cords? But assuming that it would be resolved in an episode anyway, because they're not going to make like JLH like whisper talk for the rest of her. Yeah. The rest of her career in 911.
We don't need to inflict actual like vocal cord damage.
Yeah.
Misha Collins.
But it was kind of like she had to like kind of unpack all this other trauma of like her first pregnancy and like the stuff with her thyroid and all of that, like thinking, could it be this? Could it be that? And it's like, oh no, it's just all in your head. And I think that really upset her because she was like, well, how am I supposed to fight something that is already dead?
Yeah.
You know, thinking that the cause is like
herself.
Well, no, she was like, the cause is
the trauma.
Burn, right? But like, she's already dead, but I still am having this reaction. And I think Athena's the one who really gets through to her about like what the cause of the problem is. Like she said, Rayburn took plenty, but she didn't take your gift. Fear did. Fear of all the things that could go wrong the next time you pick up that phone. And then she like types out, I'm not afraid. And then Athena just like, well, good for you, but I am. And Maddie looks really surprised. And I think that like we don't get to see a lot of Maddie and Athena, but when we do, there's just like some sort of like special connection they have. Like they really understand each other. I think in a way the other characters maybe don't.
We saw that all the way back in when they were first paired up in, I think it was 205. I think it was Awful People. And it was just like when Maddie did her ride along.
Yeah.
And they like work together really well. So there is like a rapport there that was built, and they just like, because they're both like so good at their jobs and they're so much of their life is their job and they know how important their job is.
Yeah.
That I think that they really connect on that front and personally as well.
And like, I just think about Fight or Flight when she's in the car with Buck and they're looking for her and, you know, Buck is spiraling, thinking like about the worst possibly happening. And she's like, he doesn't know like who she's become. Like she's a fighter. You know what I mean? Like he has no idea who he's dealing with.
But Athena sees that.
Athena does, because she sees herself in Maddie.
Yeah. I would love to see more of Athena and Maddie working together. And we saw that a little bit with voices as well. So like I would love for that to continue some more. I think just like general aside, they're doing a really good job of like the different permutations, combinations of all of these characters as part of like the family, like pairing them off to remind like this is how this relationship works and that kind of stuff. I like seeing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was like severely missed in season 7. I know it was like a 10 episode season, but like I feel like we didn't get enough of like Athena and other characters, you know. So I'm glad like we got Athena and Maddie again, and then in the next episode we're probably gonna get Athena and Buck.
Yes.
So
so excited for that. Yeah, and so Athena kind of like reiterates how you have to like work with the fear, right? And instead of like fighting back against it, which kind of mirrors what the doctor said when, you know, they were checking out her Maddie's vocal cords, and the doctor said like, you know, because it's a trauma response triggered by something specific, the moment of recovery has to be determined by the patient. So like she is the only one that can overcome this for herself. Everybody else just has to like be supportive. And I think we really do see that when she finally regains her voice, and it's because of G.
Yeah.
And it's in a moment of fear as well. Like that she's so scared for a moment that she lost G, but that fear is fueled by the love she has for her daughter and the need to protect her child. And that's what helped find her voice. And I thought that was like a really beautiful, like full circle moment. And I just really appreciate too in the interim, like Chimney was not only able to speak for her, but he was actively advocating for her. And that was really, really important, I think, because it just showed how well they support each, like how much Chimney has Maddie's back, and they don't need to communicate. Yeah, they're true partners, and they don't need to communicate to understand each other. Very much like some of our other favorite couples in the show.
I think this was a really great kind of conclusion to this very dramatic, traumatic arc for Maddie.
And it was so interesting too that, you know, a lot of this was coming out. We were doing our season 2 rewatch, and it's kind of weirdly fascinating that our episode, it was the universe. Our episode about 217 came out, I think,
the same day
as
8/12.
As 8/12, and that episode in season 2 saw Maddie being worried that she wasn't utilizing her voice in the most like supportive way, where she was like, I don't know if this is the job for me sort of thing. And that's when they did like the flash mob of like, you matter. And
your voice matters.
Your
flash
voice
mob.
matters. Exactly. So it was so interesting to see these kind of like parallel journeys, but Maddie has become so much more stable in her job, and like, this is her purpose. And
that is her purpose.
She's fighting to get back to it, but it's always about her being able to use her voice. And I just thought that was like really weirdly coincidental, but kind of perfect at the same time.
Yeah. That was so funny. Yeah. When things like that happen, you might be like, oh my God, you guys are so smart. We're never doing it on purpose.
It's always luck.
Yeah.
Or bad luck. Good luck or bad luck.
It's just the universe.
Depends. Screaming at us.
Speaking of the universe.
Oh.
Having it out for Hen on her birthday.
Oh.
Oh, poor Henrietta.
Oh, and
first of all, I love a getting ready montage. I love seeing like a collection of her clothes and her shoe collection. Like that just made me happy.
It's so like joyful.
Yeah. My girl has style.
She does. Like wardrobe department, snaps for you. All of those fit options
were so good.
So good. And I did love like the sweatshirt that she had with Howard, because I saw some people being like, I know that's for the university, but people were like, I wonder if Chimney has saw that she had that and ordered a sweatshirt with Henrietta on it just to be funny. I think that would absolutely be something Chimney would do, and just very cute. So it's hen day, but not the hen,
not the way that you think,
but not the way you think,
not in the way that you would want.
No.
Poor hen. First of all, she's working on her birthday, which I feel like was her first mistake.
Always.
But yeah, I don't know. Everyone in her life forgot other than Athena.
2 people.
Because Athena is the goat.
And Eddie.
Oh, and Eddie.
2 people remember.
But we don't see him wishing her happy birthday, but I'm sure he like texted her or wrote on her Facebook wall, I fucking guess.
We're Facebook friends.
How old are we'll get there. We'll get there. But yeah, so she kind of gets faked out several times, like thinking that people are going to say happy birthday. And then you see her getting more and more just like
dejected.
Just like, what the fuck? And they were faking us out as the audience too, like making us think like maybe they are planning a surprise thing and they're faking her out.
I think what it really was that Karen, of all people, didn't remember.
Yeah.
Like that's insane.
Listen, the literal rocket scientist.
The rocket scientist and your partner. Like a lot of people could forget my birthday. I think there's 3 people. If they forgot my birthday, I'd be like, what the fuck? 2 of those people are my parents. And the third one is my partner. So like if TJ, who we've been together 15 years, I don't know how long he'd be on my shit list, but he'd be there. He'd be there.
Yeah, in this case for Hen, I mean, you would think, like, okay, fine. The 118 forgot for some reason. I don't know. But her partner, her mother,
her
mom,
and her kids. Well, Denny specifically, Mara gets a pass.
Yeah, Mara's new.
Mara's new.
And that's the thing. It's like, if it were just a couple people or one person, like it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But because it's so many people, it's almost everybody in her life, it becomes more than just about the forgotten birthday, right? Like it becomes a larger issue of like, well, why are people not like,
why isn't anyone thinking of me?
Yeah.
Why am I not important enough to, to be remembered?
But also like, why is nobody even noticing that I'm kind of down in the dumps about it?
Yeah.
And a little disappointed, and nobody's even like picking up on that either to inquire. So it's like, it's one little thing that just like keeps being piled on and creates like a larger issue that's not actually about the birthday anymore. And which is so sad, but I feel like that's really relatable in a lot of ways, like just like one little thing turns into a bigger thing, then all of a sudden it's like you blow up with your whimsical balloons.
But yeah, her trying to like give someone advice, but she's projecting and then accidentally says the thing that's bothering her is so funny, and it's so buck coded.
And it's hen coded too.
In
that way.
That's why they're siblings.
They are. They're related.
But it's like we don't see her like this very often because she maintains her cool. Because she is a very logical driven person.
Yeah.
Whereas Buck is not.
No, which is why like for her when something and we see this kind of mentioned because she's like, I know it's silly.
Yeah.
But it still hurts. So
and it's embarrassing. That was the thing though. She was like, I know it's silly, but it hurts, and it's embarrassing
that
something this silly hurts this much. Like I feel that so deeply.
That is so just like logic warring with emotions, and just like, I know it's silly, but I still feel this way, and it's silly that I feel this way.
By myself with my bouquet of balloons, walks away, and my chocolate. Like, oh my God, girl was such a fucking mood. I would have to be by myself and like regulate my emotions.
I think that's what she was trying to do.
Yeah. It's like, I recognize that I'm being illogical, but unfortunately, I can't just
stop feeling this way.
Stop. Yeah. And Karen being like, we're going to laugh about this one day. And she's like, this is not that day.
She's like, yes, eventually. Not now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
But so she really ends up seeing herself and her struggle in Archie, and also just like
Poor Archie.
also just really feeling for him, because like not only is he like paralleling her own like feeling of invisibility, but like he's just going through it. Like he literally gets cheated on
top of.
He got fired. He got cheated on.
Got buried alive by his own mattress.
Bed.
Cheated on top of.
Like, hello, I'm
lost
down
his
here.
nut.
No, he got a flat tire and then he lost his nut.
He lost his nut.
And then got stuck in the tires. Other tires.
Would you say crushed under a truck?
Yes, I would, actually. Pretty close. And then his car got towed while he was still in it.
Because his girlfriend threw him out. So he was sleeping in his car with all of his belongings, and the car got towed, and he fell out of the car.
And listen, if this is all part of Hen's birthday or like 2 days, basically, he is having the worst couple of days. Oh my God.
Archie's no good, terrible.
Archie's
Very
no
bad
good, very
day.
bad
Bad day.
days. Which is why Hen sees herself in Archie's struggle as well, especially because she's the only one that remembers him.
Remembered him.
So, like, the 118 had a strike against them for not remembering Hen.
Maybe they were having a collective stroke. Like, what?
I think they had a lot of stuff going on, right? Like,
yeah, I guess
like Chimney's worried about Maddie. Buck is like
Crashing out.
crashing out and consoling Eddie at every like waking moment. They're on FaceTime. Bobby's mom dealing with reconciling with his mom and brother, and so like they've got a lot of stuff going on, but still it's not like
It's not an excuse, but it's also, I don't know, because like
understandable.
It's understandable because there are things going on and shit.
I mean,
I don't know. It's like I'm on the fence because like there's also the very real line from Hen's mom where she's like, I'm old and I.
My thing too is like, on one hand, I understand like a lot of the fandoms, like no way they all forgot, and I even kind of feel like that. But I'm also like, cumulatively, they all have ADHD. Like most of them have ADHD. As the three of us do. And I know I forget birthdays all the time. And it's not even that I forget when birthdays are. I just forget where in time and space I am.
Yeah.
And even if I'm like, oh, it is the day of someone's birthday, I'll go, I need to message them. And then guess what? It's 2 days later. And I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. Because it's also like, because you have that thought of like, oh, okay, I need to write this out, or I need to send this text. But then you think you thought you had that thought. So then it's like, you've already done it, but you haven't actually. That's what happens to me.
Yes. But if I was seeing the people in person, I think it'd be different.
Yeah, that's a little worse.
I think it'd be different. Okay. I think it's easier to excuse when it's like, oh my God, like, of course you were on my mind, but I had all this other stuff going on and I didn't see you physically. So I didn't remember.
It kind of is like out of sight, out of mind, because obviously they weren't seeing her enough to be like reminded.
It's just crazy because it's all the couples are going through something and she and Karen are the only ones who aren't going through anything. And let's keep it that way. And let's keep it that way.
But on that note, just quickly, I loved being able to see a storyline for Hen that didn't revolve around,
the usual suspects,
her children being taken away or anything like that. And I think this was a wonderful utilization of Hen, and also Aisha's comedic timing was fantastic. Like the way when she was FaceTiming her mom and she was like, oh yeah, my mom's gonna wish me happy birthday, and it was like a butt dial, and she was like smiling, and then her face dropped like it in a second. That was so funny. And with the balloons, like we said, it's just incredibly like, it's sad, but the way she played it was very humorous. And I enjoyed that very much.
I love that Archie was the only one.
Oh my God, who got her a gift?
That gave her a gift and said happy birthday. Even after accidentally stabby stab the sky.
Oh my God.
There's so many stabby stabs.
Oh my god! And honestly, just a little bit of a side note. I I support all of Archie's accidental, unfortunate wrongdoings. I would have crashed out so bad. A switch would have been flipped.
It was the last straw.
My Scorpio would have jumped out tenfold.
Oh my god. I was like, I would have definitely snapped, but I think my snapping would have been to just self-isolate to my own detriment. And until someone was like, oh my god, Hannah's been gone for a while. Let me go check on her.
Yeah.
What's wrong?
Yeah, I don't think I'll stab anyone, but I mean
no. But I mean, and that whole point of what Archie decided to do was very much fueled by what the advice that Hen gave him, which on its own is like not bad advice about you have to, it's okay to take up space. You can tell people that you exist, like, and that you matter, make noise. But the way that was kind of funneled through his head, because he was in a bad headspace, was not good. Even though and even though technically like that was what Hen had to hear for herself, it is pretty sound advice. Just don't go about it the way that Archie did.
No.
That's bad. No. Don't make noise and stand up and say you exist in that manner. Also don't do so by climbing up on, the highway overpass and naked, swinging a gun around like Lola.
Oh, I was like, where are you going with it?
It always comes back to Lola.
It always comes back to Lola. I mean, anytime we get those themes of like being seen.
See me, Norman.
See me, Norman. I see you, Lola. Anytime we get these themes of being seen, it always comes back
like
to Buck, actually. Right? She just sees me.
It's like when you meet someone, you just click.
Yeah. Again,
Jesus
all
Christ.
of these things go back to Buck, actually.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I can think whenever we get a theme like invisible. See me. Because Hen says that too. Like, I see you, Archie.
Just to wrap up Hen, then she does what I think maybe I would do once I got over myself, which is just guilt everyone into giving me a bunch of shit. So Bobby is making all of her favorite food, very obviously, because it's like a spread of a bunch of random stuff. He's making souffle, which is complicated as fuck.
That's special.
It is special. And Henna's special. She deserves it.
She does.
So she's there. I'm not sure what Karen did. I think Karen probably gets forgiven the most easy because like that's her wife and her co-parent.
She can't really guilt Karen as much as she can guilt.
Yes.
Oh, let's say Buck.
And Buck is doing the most. I don't even know what the whole list was, but it was a long list of yard work. And Karen was like, how long is he going to be doing that? And she was like, as long as he feels guilty about it, I think we have him until the fall. Like she's taking advantage of that guilt complex. That's so adorable, actually. It's so cutesy of her.
It's very big sister.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And then she's like, actually, this was my best birthday ever. And I think that is so funny of her. To be like, actually, it's the best ever because I got so much out of it and it was actually amusing. So
I love that for her.
Yeah.
She deserves some of that joy.
Just one more thing. The fact that she tackled Archie. This poor man who is, I guess, an idiot because he came out of this hostage situation in which he was the person holding people hostage, reaches into his pocket to give her a cluck keychain because
it reminds
like a hen.
It's so cute.
It was so sweet and dumb.
Like they both could have died and she tackled him. Oh my god.
I really thought that man was not going to make it, though.
I didn't think he was going to. As soon as I saw him start reaching for his pocket, I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, we were all like, no.
Yeah.
We were like, parallels to 414, I think.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that for sure.
But yeah, anyway, Hen's a hero, and we knew that. But like, now she's in the newspaper, and everyone knows that.
And she's not invisible anymore.
She's on the newspaper.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because you can't go back to being invisible once you're not.
Hen has a news article. now dedicated to her.
Mm-hmm. And her
She can't do
heroism.
For her.
Heroism. One has a silver star. Now she's got. Anyway, that was the connection I was trying to make.
That's okay. That's what it was. Got it.
Yeah. I saw it.
Hen.
It did not go through.
Hen has a news article. That's how you needed to say that.
I try to say
Hen
it that
has
way.
a news article.
Hen has a news article.
There we go.
God.
Eddie has a silver star.
Star.
Oh my god.
Speaking of Mr. Silver Star
The
himself.
people's princess, stand up.
All right. So this is part 2 of Eddie in Texas.
Woo!
Boy, woo! He is still going through it. But you know who's going through it with him? Buck. These two were like codependency, long distance bet, which is so fair because we do that.
We do that.
Just, platonically. But the fact that they're just constant, any minor inconvenience, Eddie is like,
FaceTime.
I must ring Buck. I must have him say insane things to me.
I must consult my counsel.
He is the council.
Yeah, the council of one.
The council has spoken. So we see him at an interview in which he looks like he is a youth pastor.
He's wearing his El Paso best, okay?
I hate it. I hate it. Like, he still looks good, but I hate it.
He always
That's
looks
not
good.
my Eddie.
That is Texas
That's
Eddie.
Edmundo.
It is.
Oh, that's not my pink pony
No.
Princess.
club, Eddie.
It's not.
Pink pony princess.
But yeah, so he walks into this interview. The room is full of taxidermied animals, and he looks disturbed, which same.
Not what he was expecting, but also maybe what he was expecting because Texas.
I guess.
Is it like culture shock?
I saw someone on Twitter be like, "Oh, I'm so Texan because this is so normal for me." So
it just seemed like an
maybe.
excessive amount of taxidermy.
It was a lot. It
for
was
like a work office
Yeah.
of a fire captain.
It was a lot. It was like a snake. It was like, was it a bear? Was it like a bull? There was
was
like
a
a pair
lot.
of like longhorns, and that was not that big of
He's
an
like,
office.
gotta catch them all. All the wildlife.
All the Pokemon.
He's
from
not
the
in
Paso,
Pokemon.
Texas.
Toto, he's not in California anymore.
Yeah, but he doesn't. He's a little creeped out by it, and there's like maybe some meaning there because I don't know. Taxidermy is very much like, and hunting is very masculine
Mhm.
and macho. So
Just saying.
And he's like looking at it, squinting, like, ew. First of all, ew.
God, he's so judgy.
This interview does not actually go well. Like, I just want to put it on the record that it does not go well because the captain is like, I got this glowing review from your captain who loves you so much and said that you're welcome to come back anytime. And he's like, oh, that's great to know. That's not what you say. You don't want to let them know that like you're going to be happy to go back somewhere. And then he like trauma dumps
He does.
this guy a little bit.
He does. I'm like, stop.
Stop talking.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like what we see a little bit in 201 when Eddie shows up and Bobby's like, reads off his list of like commendations. Like, he has a silver star. He was the first in his class. Like, all of this, like the reputation that precedes him, it's preceding him again. It is following him before him. If that make it like it's a shadow. No, Eddie lives in the shadow of his reputation.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
That's what's happening. So he's like, here is this recruit with like, glowing reviews and everything like that. And he's actually kind of blowing it a little bit. I mean, it's not like terrible, but it's just like,
It's not the best, but he's basically just like, this is my only plan, and I really need it because I need to have my kid back. And then it's just like, kind of letting his resume and his recommendation speak for itself, but being like, you won't regret it if you hire me. So he does win over Captain Morales.
Yeah.
So
he is charming like that.
He is
That's
charming.
True, so yeah.
Even if he is oversharing.
He's just being upfront and honest.
Uh-huh.
But it's also like you don't need.
I think he does this when he's anxious.
Yes. That man is full. That man is a
gets
vibrating
yappy.
ball of anxiety. Yeah, he gets super
He gets yappy when he's
and
anxious.
he talks. He just dumps everything out there because he just doesn't. He can't really control it anymore, and it's just like it's word vomit.
Vomits.
Yeah. There's always an outlet for him when he ends up like telling people things that are going on in his life, but it's never to people who are closest to him. It's always like this random person who has no like bearing on his life that he
like
feels more comfortable. Exactly.
And it's always like, here's information with no context.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's always like Eddie feels so much more comfortable talking to strangers about things.
Which I think is fair.
Yeah, which is fair. The exception to that, of course, is Buck.
Because
they're finally talking about stuff.
I know.
Which we've been waiting.
Well, one stuff.
I mean, this is very like...
This is the stuff. This has been the elephant in the room.
The Eddie
all
Fant.
season. The Christopher.
Yeah.
Fant.
But like finally Buck and Eddie are talking about something that like has substance.
So, Eddie does not get this job because there's a hiring freeze, which I don't know if I actually believe.
That's what I was going to ask about.
I don't know if I actually believe it.
I'm on the fence. Like it could be a thing. Maybe it's just like a your dosage of bad luck or whatever, because this is him hitting rock bottom.
Mm.
So it could be true or it can't be true. So it could be true. Maybe that the fire captain is waiting him out a little bit. So then he'll call him back and be like, hey, this job is now available.
He's still there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's going to be worse because then he's just going to leave like the next day or two or whatever.
Yeah. Waited too long.
Or it's actually true because now, we have that whole metaphor of building the house and everything. And then just things like start, looking up for him. So.
Yeah. Well, regardless, this strips the last piece of identity away from Eddie. Because what was Eddie's identity? It was
soldier.
Soldier?
Dad.
Well, I mean, that's not really part of his identity. It's his past.
But it's part of that reputation, right?
Silver Star.
Right, but when he introduces himself to people,
I know. I'm
a firefighter and I'm a dad. So how he identifies himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We stripped away the dad thing, and we stripped away his entire family and support system, and now we stripped away
his truck,
firefighter,
and his truck. Literally everything.
He's 27 and he has no prospects. He's a burden to his family.
He really is, though.
We don't see it as a burden.
Oh my God.
Ugh. But yeah, like we've been talking about this for so long about how this season, after the events of season 7, like they really had to start stripping Eddie of all of that identity. And we were doing a lot of that in like 8A.
We were ripping all of the things that Eddie identifies himself as. And, he's back in this place that he actively fled.
Mm-hmm.
And he went back there for Chris because he didn't want to parent over FaceTime. But what is he doing? He's not parenting. So he is just lost. He is adrift. He is unmoored. He is disconnected.
Quite
He's
literally.
disconnected from his support system, from his partner, from himself, from his son.
He's so isolated.
Yeah. And I mean, he's doing it to himself.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing it to himself.
Because he's putting that pressure on himself.
He's putting the pressure on himself, and he's not advocating for himself.
Right.
He's not parenting. He's kind of just like being passive instead of taking action.
Kind of like Ramon.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder where he gets it from.
Well, I mean, that's where he learned it from, because he had to watch this is the father figure that he had growing up. It's a shitty example of a father. It's a failure, really, and tries to make up for it like several years later when he's like on the verge of having a heart attack.
But yeah, I don't know. It's very Aaron Burr coded. You know what I mean?
Wait for it.
It's just like sitting and waiting for the opportune moment.
Mm-hmm.
The firefighter thing is a hard hit because like financially he needs that job. And it's like the only job he's had since he came back from the army that was like stable. Because like before he did that, he was just working like 3 jobs and never saw Chris.
And he has no plan B.
And also this was the only thing that he knew that Chris was like proud of him for.
It hits like 3
and
times
his mother,
as hard. Mm-hmm.
Right? Because his mother is like proud of you.
So proud
right?
of
So
you.
it's like the double whammy of being like, that was the only thing I had left. And so what does he do when he's like talking to Buck about like, I'm not going to get the job because there's a hiring freeze for 6 months, up to 6 months.
That's crazy.
And his immediate reaction is to be like, well, Bobby
Said I could come back.
Bobby told the captain that I could come back whenever I want. Do you think he meant that? And Buck doesn't even like warrant that with the response directly.
No.
He's not like, I'm not like, that's a duh, but it's a like, are you kidding?
Like you're thinking of coming back? Like say more words. And it's this whole thing about, you know, Eddie thinks that he's failed because at least when he was, you know, 800 miles away, he could support Chris financially, which is not what Chris needs.
No.
And
he's being supported financially.
Yeah. And Buck understands that like fully. Yeah. So he says, you know, kind of snap out of it. You're not a failure. You didn't go out there to be a firefighter or an Uber driver. You went out there to be Christopher's dad. That is your number one job. And you can tell immediately as like before it comes out of Buck's mouth, he is regretting it, but he knows it's the right thing to say and the right thing to do because it's the right thing for Chris. And he's like, you can't come back.
You can't come back.
You have to.
And they both hate that.
They both hate that so much.
A bit of how I also analyze the scene is that Buck got Eddie to do the one thing that Shannon couldn't get him to do, which is to stay.
Oh my God.
Right, because this would have been running away.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Because like when the going, so what Eddie does is when the going gets tough or when, and a lot of this is like misconstrued with trying to be this. So, okay, what I initially did was like this whole like Eddie and like kind of like the double-edged sword of like being a provider for Christopher, because like, you know, since such a young age, he's like being told that you need to step up and be the man of the house and all that. And that kind of what that technically means for him is that he needs to not necessarily provide, but he has to take care of someone or something, things that are going on. So he has had that instilled in him growing up. But I think like Shannon gets pregnant, joining the army was a way to provide and also a way to run away.
Oh.
And so like, you know, all of these things just start happening. Like again, he's just a ball of anxiety. So this parallels kind of, he didn't tell Shannon twice that he was going to join and then he was going to, you know,
to re-enlist.
Because he's using the providing part as an excuse to run away.
Yeah.
And you're right.
Also, when she asked him to come with her, he was like, no, I need a moment. He never listened to her.
No.
The way that he listens to Buck.
Immediately. But still, you're so right.
Yeah.
Like him thinking about going back to the 118 is him running away, but with the excuse of like, oh, but I'm providing for him, so it's more acceptable that way.
Right. Yeah. I said the whole joining of the military is going to be viewed as honorable, and it's a good excuse to be out or gone for a prolonged period of time.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I'm like, my dude.
when the going get tough, the Eddie get going.
He really do.
Well, yeah, because it's like, well, he ran to Texas because he wanted to parent his kid, not over FaceTime. He wanted to be with Chris, and he didn't want to take Chris out of this environment that he's doing so well and loves so much. He totally asked him, and that's totally what he said. But regardless, he's doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah, of course.
For this move. But because he gets there and he can't get through to Chris, because he's not even really trying, he's trying to wait for Chris to come to him.
A little bit of bribery sprinkled in there.
Right. And it's not really going well. And he just keeps feeling dejected and feeling like, what am I even doing here? Like, my kid doesn't even want me here. And so it's like having that feeling along with like his mother's already undermining comments of them acting like Chris's parents and acting like Eddie can't do anything right, even in 12. So there's that. And then it's like, oh my God, I can't even get the job. Then that would have been running away.
Yep.
It would have been, I don't want to face this problem because like I'm not needed. I can run away from this hard thing and do it in a way in which I can provide and be useful.
As like an invisible father almost. Like,
right.
I know this happens in Disconnected, but the feeling is still there.
Parallels how Ramon like was the absentee father anyway because he was gone for work.
Yeah.
Gone for work. There you go.
Yes.
So he was providing financially. That's where, because that's like what was instilled in him. The most important thing is to provide for your child financially
and not emotionally.
Shannon says this in Haunted, I don't need a provider. I needed a partner. So even she clocked him.
Oh, yeah.
She's been clocking him.
I love how like how much Shannon saw Eddie and he didn't want to be seen by her, but she did anyways.
Yeah.
So fascinating.
Oh, Eddie. So yeah, Eddie's like, I didn't come here to be an Uber driver, Buck. And he's like, no, but you didn't come there to be a firefighter either. You came there to be Chris's dad. I guess just because the Uber thing was the first thing that popped into his head and that's how he makes decisions.
Yeah.
He decided, yes, I have the demeanor to be an Uber driver.
No, he was literally,
I have possibly put my other skills to use somewhere like being a mechanic or a construction worker or other high paying
or like trying to work in some sort of like healthcare field. No, he's like, I'm going to disregard all of that and I'm going to be an Uber driver.
He is so funny.
Or ride share, whatever.
Anyway, then we get one of the funniest montages on the show ever.
I love this whole sequence.
Me too. Got a taste of his own medicine.
He really did.
Mess. He's a train wreck.
Or a car wreck waiting to happen.
Well, stop.
Not yet. He will be. But yeah, so he is very obviously someone that you would dread getting as your Uber driver because he can't shut the fuck up because, as we have established, this man cannot stop yapping when he is uncomfortable or anxious.
I don't know. I think it would be a fun... I like people and I am also a yapper, so...
Most people don't want to talk to their Uber driver, Rachel.
I definitely don't.
I don't.
I do.
Yeah. That's a you thing.
That is a you thing.
And my dad.
That is a you guys thing. That is a... yeah.
I also think it's your job as like an Uber driver, a bartender, any job, like
to read the room.
Read the room. That's the most important thing. If someone comes in and they're talkative and you're a yapper, then sure, you guys can talk. But if someone comes in and they're just like, hi, yeah, and they're giving you one word answers, just shut the fuck up.
He doesn't know how to read those kind of social cues.
He does that in Hot Shots when Brad is showing I don't know, I guess the dailies or like the episode cut or whatever. And he's like, oh, yeah. It looks fake.
He's like, everyone says like tiny little things. And Brad's just like, okay. And he's like, yeah. And like, also, I was just going to say, we wouldn't be like, just like yapping this much on the scene.
Like,
and I was like, shut up. Well, first of all, that's a fucking lie. Because that's all you do.
That's what he and Buck do.
Second of all,
yeah,
you're gonna hurt this man's feelings because everyone's like,
yeah. So Eddie sometimes, especially when he is nervous, he does not read other people's social cues because he's so like out of his element that he just kind of like defaults to the yapper setting.
It's giving, and this is my headcanon. I think a lot of people headcanon this.
Yeah.
Is that he's on the spectrum.
Yeah.
So this was a great montage feeding my headcanon.
I was thinking about that the whole time. I was like, I see
Yeah.
it now. This makes sense to me. Yes.
They're nervous talking because it's just like you're trying to do what you think you should do in that situation.
And no, but that's the thing with Eddie. He's trying to do what he thinks that he should do
always.
and not.
Yeah, masking. That man is just a pile of masks. He's a pile of masks of the different roles that he thinks that he needs to do, and it's such an autistic thing. Anyway, that's a different conversation.
That's a whole special episode.
It's a whole special episode for sure. Uber montage. We finally get a girl who is like takes pity on him angrily,
but
She's
gives
like-
him a taste of his own medicine.
She's
finally.
like, "Hey, be silent.
Shut up.
Shut
Just
up."
shut up. It's not about you.
I thought that was crazy to include that line too, because the last time we heard that was him telling Buck.
Fuck. Oh, it's always about you,
doing
isn't
what you-
it?
Yeah. It's just like role reversal.
It really is always about you, isn't it? Yeah. So interesting.
That's
But yeah, she gives
projection.
good advice and he starts making actual money.
She tells him to become invisible
Yep.
Mhm.
too.
Mhm.
But it is good advice.
It's good advice for Uber, not good advice for his personal life. And I think he kind of took it in both meanings.
Mm-hmm. Him and Archie taking advice way too far.
Mhm.
Shaking hands.
Mhm. But yeah, anyway, the Uber thing, and he's lying. We forgot to mention he's
Again,
lying.
yes.
He's lying. He's lying. He's
Yay.
lying about it. He didn't tell anyone that he didn't get the firefighting job because of the hiring freeze, because he's embarrassed. And he thinks he failed.
And he didn't want to fail Chris because that was like,
Yes.
because as Ramon told him, Chris thinks it's so cool and that you're
My
the
dad's
coolest dad to be a
He's bragging
firefighter.
about him. Yeah.
And it's like, well, since he lost that, then he's a failure of a father because his own son doesn't
Mhm.
think he's cool anymore.
And
So-
and a failure as a father to Ramon and Helena because he can't provide for his child.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's just like another tick against him.
Yep.
I mean, the jig is up.
In the worst possible way. Stop letting your son walk in on you lying. This needs to be the last time I see you do this. Eddie, I swear to God.
I didn't even realize. You're right. He did just totally walk in on Eddie lying again.
I need him to not do this again. This is so stressful both times.
And the way Christopher was like
Oh.
so surprised, so shocked, so like kind of disappointed, but not
Yeah.
because his dad's an Uber driver,
No,
just
'cause
because
he
he was
lied.
lying to him again. And Chris just like, what would you do in that situation? Also, it's just like, oh, hello, sir, and pretends not to know you. Like,
Yeah.
that's completely warranted. Like, that's a teenager thing anyway. They're gonna
Oh, for sure.
pretend they're not gonna know their parents. But like in this situation, completely warranted. And Eddie is just like, I screwed up again because he was repeating these same patterns that he always falls into. And it's like, okay, well, now you realize that you're repeating those patterns. You're aware of it. Now actively move to change that kind of behavior.
Yeah, he calls Buck immediately because that's just
Surprise.
what they're doing. That's just what they're doing.
Yeah.
He's calling Buck anytime that he's minorly inconvenienced or majorly fucks up. And Buck had the same reaction I had. I mean, like milder because he's a much nicer person, as we've established. But he's just like, well, what did he say? Like when you talked to him about it? And he's like, well, we haven't talked yet. And he's like, Eddie.
Like, should have had a V8. Like, that's so dumb. Like, he really goes like, what are you doing?
Yeah. And Eddie says, this is literally I did it again. This is like my worst nightmare.
Oops, I did it again.
Oh my God. I need to make that oops, I did it again.
Oh my
I get it.
God. That would be so good. But yeah, he said, interestingly enough, it's my worst nightmare come true. Oh, nightmare, you say? Oh, in the same episode that Maddie had a nightmare that she basically was living as well. Interesting stuff.
And Buck's like, no, It's not, because that already happened. Chris left. But this time you have a chance to like face the music basically and try and make it right.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, this is him saying dad up without saying dad up, because he says that in the next episode.
Mhm.
But he's just like, oh my God.
That is what he's saying.
He's saying very nicely, talk to your fucking kid. You moved to Texas.
Text him, call him, whatever. Kids are never too busy to text. Just like don't. Buck is really encouraging and saying like literally don't give up, because giving up would be the failure that you already think that you are, but you're not.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, like Eddie tries to talk to him, but Chris is the one that opens the door. Just like he said in season 7, where he's like, I don't want to knock the door down. I want him
to open
it for me. I mean, technically it was like Eddie opening the door because Chris knocked, but it was Chris coming to him.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Just circling back a little bit. I do think that that's a very interesting parallel to 303.
Yes.
You think you failed him?
Mm-hmm.
I failed that kid more times than I can count, and I'm his dad. But I love him enough to never stop trying. And I know you do too.
Wait, do you think then that like Buck's pep talk in that second FaceTime was basically that reversal of
kind of, yeah, it's like a whole reversal.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, I love co-parents.
Me too. So Chris finally comes to Eddie and they actually have a conversation. Where do they have this conversation?
On the couch.
On the
with
couch.
The coffee table blackie.
Yes.
A serious conversation. We love to see it.
We really do. So Chris opened the door to have this conversation, and we learn like Chris is trying to return the PS5 that Eddie gave him.
And Eddie thinks it's a rejection.
But it's not. It's Chris being that very aware kid that we know him to be. And he's just
like, I know you're broke, Dad.
Yeah. He's like, I thought you could use the money because I want you to stick around. And it's just like, really, it just grabs your heart.
It does. It was really funny, I think, when we were doing the live react, I think. I really don't know if we were just, not we, because like, I think in my brain, I was like, I don't think we're giving Christopher enough credit. Like in understanding and how intuitive he is.
Yes.
As to like what Eddie is probably going through. I think he clearly has his own opinions. I mean, as a kid, you're just going to give back that PS5. I know like you can't like, you know, so I think it just shows like the maturity level and the awareness and the intuitiveness and being able to be aware of like what his dad is trying to do, you know?
Yeah.
It's
like he's recognizing his efforts because he wants this is like the first time since we've seen Chris that he asserts actually what he wants,
which is to have his dad
exactly
there with him.
Mm-hmm. And then they hug it out. It's like one of the sweetest moments.
He says, I'm proud of you, Ray.
Yes.
Yeah. He's like, I just wanted you to be proud of me. And he's like, I am proud of you. And I think that's Eddie's face as he's just like, this is like a world changing thing. But it's like, even when your parents fuck up, especially when you're young, even when you're a teenager, you have this vision of your parents that they're just like these like paragons of, you know, like
what a person should be, that they're your superheroes, right? You're proud of them. Yeah.
And I think that, you know, him seeing his dad raise him the way that he has with all of the struggles that he has a lot of reasons to be proud of him. Even though he had reasons to be mad at him and want to need space from him, it doesn't mean he's not proud of his dad still for just who he is as a person and what he does. And it has nothing to do with like his job or these other things that he's assigned himself, you know, that Eddie's assigned himself of like what makes him matter.
Yeah.
What his parents assigned him, like what has meaning.
Yeah.
What he can be proud of.
When we were watching the episode earlier, there's this thing that I kind of like focused on because of his facial reaction to like the people he loves most, like doing things for him or like, So in this case, it's Christopher saying that he is proud of him and that he wants him to stick around and all of that. And, you know, like you can see how visibly touched he is. And I just feel like, you know, Eddie is so like internally he feels undeserving, not worthy enough, not worthy for forgiveness or some of the things that other people are doing for him. So like, and you see that paralleled with like his reaction to Buck subletting. And I also think this is a smaller tidbit. It's when Captain Morales is like, you know, your Captain Nash loves you so much and you have a job at the 118 if you ever so choose to go back. And then he says this to Buck. This is the part that I hated. Do you really think that he meant that or is he just saying that? And it's like, how long have you been working there? That's Dad, first of all.
That's his family. He said that it's his family that he chose. And maybe he just doesn't
realize that they've chosen him just as much.
So like the self-image that this man has is really
so
bad. I need him to be happy.
Yeah. Which, is it a journalist? Was it Rachel?
She writes for Screen Rant.
She said, in my entire life, I genuinely don't think I've ever needed happiness for a character as much as Eddie Diaz.
Yeah.
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 Yep. Co-signed.
Yeah, I think it's Eddie and Dean Winchester.
I was just about to say that. I was like, I read that tweet and I was like, yes, Eddie.
But
also Dean.
Dean didn't get it, so it's like now it's all riding on Eddie.
You're our last hope.
My Eddie Dean agenda.
Help us, Edmundo Diaz. You're our only hope.
Tim Minear, please give Eddie the happiness he deserves, the joy.
But yeah, you're so right. You're so right. So that is really, it makes me angry with his parents.
Yeah. I told you that the day after that episode aired, I had feelings.
Eddie is very important, guys.
Eddie's very important.
We love him.
To everyone on 911 and most important to us. And he has been needing all of this stuff so badly since the end of last season.
Yeah.
So like,
and it just kind of sucks on its own that it took like him having to like move away to realize this or to have it be realized.
You mean having to lose everything before he allows himself to feel anything?
Yeah. Love that. Thanks.
Bobby, you're a prophet.
One good thing. Not the one good thing. One of the few good.
One good thing Bobby Nash has ever done?
No.
Oh my God. Wow.
No, I was like the
Bobby
advice
Nash
that Bobby
gives.
The advice that Bobby gives Eddie is always just like
catching strays from the grave.
Oh.
Oh my God.
And now Christopher and Eddie are back where they belong, which is together, wherever.
Well, not together.
Not together.
But yeah.
First steps.
Yes.
They're mending those bridges.
This is also the Fantastic Four slogan, I think. No.
Oh,
yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
The first family of the 118.
So
actually,
it is actually the first step because he needed to be open and honest with his kid in order to like open up the door, you know, to
quite literally
to forgiveness and to reestablishing that connection.
Yeah.
So then in 813, invisible. Man, I wish his parents were invisible.
I wish they didn't have to see them.
They shouldn't be seen or heard.
No. They shouldn't. They should be silent.
Oh my God.
And invisible.
The two people that Eddie needs to tell be silent. I mean, kind of did in a different way. But
yeah, he's like, you can keep your opinions to yourself. I'm a dad. But anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. We see another FaceTime call because it's that serious.
It's so serious.
It's that serious. We see another buddy FaceTime call, and this time they're both cooking. It's so cute.
It's so domestic.
Very domestic. So Eddie is making this slow cooker meal that he's nervous because it's been 7 hours, 45 minutes instead of 8. And he's nervous because he wants Chris to like his cooking. And he's worried that he's gotten used to his mother's cooking. This is all just a very heavy-handed metaphor for feeling like Chris likes his parents and more than him.
Eddie is trying to both impress Christopher and impress his own parents, showing like
he still wants that approval.
Yeah, he is fighting a losing battle there. He's trying to impress his parents as well to show like, I can take care of Christopher. I can be like a provider, both financially and like domestically and like all of that stuff, because they never see that in him either. And what happens? They don't believe in him enough to be able to do that. So they bring over takeout. Infuriating.
When will they stop undermining this man?
Never. That's just their default setting. It's just like,
do you know how fucking pissed off I would be if someone brought takeout when I invited them into my home
for dinner?
I was making.
And then she's like, oh, did you? You said that? Well, now there will be options. Like, that's the most passive aggressive thing.
Well, he really is.
Which mirrors what she says later, where she's like, yeah, we told you about this chess match, and she totally didn't.
He really is invisible to them.
Yeah.
And it goes to show with like the whole Diaz men on the road trip or whatever, you know, how like they kind of shut him out.
Oh my God.
They totally shut him out. And like Helena puts like little barbs about him being an Uber driver now that the cat's out of the bag. And it's just like, oh my God. It's so frustrating about like.
No wonder he hates himself because his parents hate him.
Yeah. And I don't think the worst part is I don't think that they realize that they hate him. I think they think that they love him and they're loving and caring. But it's like, this is absolutely not like,
no,
like Helena's manipulation tactics are so just like ingrained in her. It's like every single thing that Eddie tries to do or say, she just like immediately shuts it down or undermines it or provides like an alternative sort of thing or like tries to guilt or goad him into something. It's just like it cuts Eddie down every time to remind him of his place and his insufficient standing. And it's like almost always in front of Christopher as well, which is even worse.
Which has to make you wonder what they were saying when he wasn't even there.
Exactly.
Yeah, like starting with like the comment about like, look, I mean, Chris saying that I want you to like if you're so like that dialogue of if you're going to stick around. What did that mean? Like, what does that mean? Like, what gave you the impression that he wasn't going to stick around?
He bought a house.
Yeah,
exactly.
He moved to Texas.
So Helena has been, I don't even know what she could have said. Actually, I did think about what she could have said to him in a way that it's so misconstrued to the way that he could have interpreted that he wasn't gonna like, I guess, stick around. Just like basically saying, oh, your father can't be your father right now, or something like those lines.
Your father isn't in a place where he can be a dad.
Be your dad.
Now.
Yeah.
Right.
There had to be something going on there where she was like whispering and like getting in Chris's ear about it. He's going through
something and he really can't, you know.
He can't be there for you right now. Right.
He loves you, but he can't.
And there are ways that like she sugarcoats things where it kind of like roundabout. It's that like that backhanded compliment sort of thing, but sans compliment, like because even the whole thing from the previous episode where in 8:12 where Eddie gets Chris the PlayStation and Helena's like or Eddie asks if he wants to set it up. He asks Chris what he wants to set it up at his grandparents' house or at Eddie's house, and Helena just like immediately is like, oh well, like you the air conditioner doesn't work and you have a leak and and Eddie's like, I fixed that. I'm working on that.
Christopher runs hot.
Yeah.
As if this hasn't been his son for 14 years. Like he doesn't fucking know that. Also, before she even says that, she's undermining him and making comments about his financial decisions,
Mm-hmm.
which like maybe not unwarranted, but like not your place.
Not your place, and especially not in front of your kid.
Yeah. And he's an adult.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
My dad never makes my parents do not make comments on my financial decisions.
it's just every Eddie can't make a move without being criticized
Nope.
about it, even if it's not even his, like, anything to do with him. Like, we'll get to it in a little bit, but like at the grocery store where he's picking up other people's groceries, she's immediately like, oh, well, don't you think that has a little too much sugar for Christopher? It's like, that's not even his groceries. Just like everything is a criticism. And it's just
But like also, is Christopher diabetic? Like, what do you mean? He can't have sugary treats?
No, she probably just wants him to have like the healthiest, like she's so overbearing that like one little milligram of sugar is like, oh my God, like one of those parents.
If she's commenting like on the sugar based stuff that Eddie could have potentially bought, she didn't let him have juice.
No,
She didn't let him have juice.
no,
She didn't
not
let
at
him
all.
have juice.
It's too sugary.
Too
Can't have
sugary.
it. This is where he learned it. Where he,
Jail!
there was probably an incident when he was
Why
young.
am I gonna cry? Because he couldn't have juice. Probably only had juice at communion.
Oh, and that's not good juice.
That's gross.
No, there was probably, wanna bet there was probably an incident when he was younger and he was like, they were like in line for something at a convenience store or whatever, and he was looking and he wanted the juice. And Helena, because it wouldn't have been her Ramon, because he was out providing, right? And Helena was like, no, you can't have that, honey.
Too much
have
sugar.
something healthier, like have some water. And then he just instinctually did that when he was at the juice bar in 806.
He's a 90s kid, and I bet you all of his friends, you know what they probably had all the time?
Capri Sun.
Capri
Capri
Sun.
Suns.
You know what this man probably was never allowed to have? This little boy was never allowed to have Capri
Capri
Suns.
Sun. Sunny D. I forgot the other one. Kool-Aid.
Would Tang have been too early?
Hi, C.
Yeah.
Let him have Capri Sun.
So anyway, Helena did not let him have the juice.
No, absolutely not. And just like the whole, like, she guilt and manipulates things to reinforce like the outcome that she wants.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing with Chris where she was like, oh, anything you want, once he finally like acquiesced to like, oh, I guess we should do it here. Like, keep the PS5 here.
She didn't even want
so
him. She
manipulative.
didn't even want him to go out with his friends.
No.
Yeah.
He's 14 years old. At age 10, he took an Uber to Buck's house. Like,
You mean he shouldn't have done that, but yeah.
no, he shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. Like,
I'm
like the whole independence thing is another
he's
conversation
capable.
as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
And
it's not even, I mean, yes, it's that. But to me, it's the shit like they just took Chris and are like, we're his parents. And Eddie is just like a spare. Like he's just this like hanger on that they just like have to put up with.
yeah.
And like these comments like, maybe I can get you an extra honor roll bumper sticker for your car, unless your work doesn't allow drivers to have those things. And Eddie just ignores it. Like she says all this shit and he ignores most of it. Like he just lets
does.
it slide right off of him. And I really hope he does let it slide right off of him. But it's like, if she's saying this shit to him as an adult, what kind of shit did she say to him growing up?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the kind of stuff that stays in your psyche. That's that voice in your head.
He was living under her house.
Yes.
Right? He wouldn't have had like the independence or the autonomy to, go somewhere else. And that's probably one of the reasons why he continuously like ran away, and we saw, I mean, this isn't news though. We saw she did this with Shannon as well, just like criticizing everything. And it's like just incessant. And like Ramon isn't much better. Like we see
he's just sitting there saying nothing
He's
at this
absent.
fucking dinner at his house. Like Helena's like, they're only allowing one parent per contestant this year, so your father is going with him.
such bullshit.
What the fuck do you mean?
mm-hmm.
What the fuck do you mean? He literally gets up because he's like, he's got to remove himself from the situation, and I don't blame him because he's like, sounds like a blast.
fair.
And then he goes and chugs beer at the kitchen sink. And then he has to overhear Ramon saying the Diaz men, right, Chris? How much do you want to bet that he never heard anything like that from his dad growing up?
Or maybe he did, but it's misconstrued.
You know what it's giving?
What?
It's giving John Winchester and Adam. Where it's like, Dad never took me to baseball games. Meanwhile, Adam had like
parentified
child. Meanwhile, you're watching this your parents be more of a parent to this other person.
Yeah.
Than they ever were to you. Oh my God. And like, I know Ramon's like made some headway to try to repair some of that relationship, but when they're at home, Ramon is so passive and in like deferring to Helena.
Because he should be deferring to his son. He should be encouraging his son, who is the father of Christopher, to be taking over roles where a parent should be there.
But they're all too happy to live in that role. Helena and Ramon are never beating the do-over allegations.
No, they're not. No, because they screwed up their first kid and now they're taking their grandson as their second kid to do all over again.
They make me mad.
Oh my God. Helena saying at the grocery store, stocking up for a sugar crash? Are these really the healthiest choices you can make? And he's like, it's not for me. I'm delivering it. Well, I suppose that's better than thinking that's what's in your cupboards when Christopher comes to visit.
What a bitch.
It's like she's a social worker coming to pop by just like to do a little check-in and stuff. It's like, no, that is not your place.
It's the fact that she says visit too. There's no language. There's no talk. There's no him and his parents sitting down and talking about how can we facilitate, repairing my relationship with Chris. Because the whole thing was to just give him some space so that they could then work things out. That's the whole reason they gave him, was that he just needs some space right now. And it's been 8 fucking months.
At what point does them saying, oh, just give Christopher some space turn into they are purposefully
give him to us.
They are purposefully keeping Christopher away from Eddie, right? At what point does that become that? Because I think we're past that. I think that's already happened. Because again, like they should be as good parents themselves. They should be trying to facilitate a reconciliation and reconnection of Eddie and Christopher, but they are doing no such thing. They are absolutely like, and this episode is invisible. They are absolutely brushing Eddie off to the side. Like he does not matter. Like he never mattered, because to them, they don't.
Well, we find out later on that there were things that they try to pressure him into doing. And like, I guess he disappointed them in a way. And we'll get to that, but
history repeats itself.
It's just insane. I mean, just I will gloss over the rest of this grocery store thing. It's bad. There's nothing in any of these interactions that gives off any sort of amount of care or love.
No.
If my parents talked to me this way, I'd be crashing out.
Why would you even talk to them?
So instead of saying I should be the person going with Christopher this weekend because I'm his dad, he's posing it like a question. What, like, I wanted to call you and see like if you thought that like I should go, and it's a whole thing where she manipulates the conversation, because he starts it very much like, well, I want to be the one to go, and well, okay, then he tries to rephrase it when she pushes back, like, I can take some of the burden. Well, we don't see it as a burden. We love spending time with him. And he's like, well, so do I. It's like, he's my fucking kid.
She's like, oh no, I'm just so thick sometimes.
And then being like, oh, well, I'm sure that like your dad will understand that he'll have to give his seat up on the bus and blah, 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 blah. And, then that's the guilt. It's the guilt manipulation, because it's not only does he not want to like take something away from his dad, because he likes that Christopher has a good relationship with his grandparents.
Yeah.
But he also doesn't want to like hurt Chris's chances in the tournament, because they keep boasting like he loves it so much. He's great at it. He's a ringer, blah, 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 blah. And, Ramon is his coach, so he doesn't want to hurt his chances. So he's removing himself from the equation again, because he's like, all right, well, I guess this is better for him, because she fucking manipulated him back into that thinking, and that kind of thinking is there from them from the beginning, from Eddie Begins, when they're like, don't drag him down with you.
It's there from before that. It's there from
from growing up for sure.
From 218 after Shannon's funeral.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, but I meant chronologically, don't drag him down with you is it's when he's
chronologically, okay.
Yes, chronologically.
I also thought like this was her another way of manipulating him based on like how he grew up and like how he because I'm sure growing up he didn't want to disappoint his parents, so like maybe he just didn't want to take that opportunity from Ramon because he loves his parents or whatever, you know, so he was just like, fine, whatever, my dad can go.
Yeah.
He does love his parents because there's no way that he would let them get away with everything that they got away with. And even when he was being bitchy, he was still being respectful, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He was, what do they call it? Gentle. Gentle Eddie.
Bitchiness?
Gentle bitchiness.
Yeah. Yeah. But
gentle, loving bitchiness. Yeah.
But like just to close out the grocery store redux sort of thing. Like at the end of this, like bumping into each other, which was also just funny and weird. She literally like takes the shopping cart from his hands and just like the metaphor of just like, oh, let me take that from you. Like without even asking and just like
she did with Chris.
Kind of grabs it. It's the same thing. And it's just like, oh my God, it's so infuriating.
There's one person I want to throw hands at. It's this woman.
Yeah.
If Helena has no haters, I'm dead.
For real.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like, you know me, I'm devil's advocate. See the silver lining. I don't know how you can redeem someone like that. There is no redemption. No. It's just the
There's
worst.
No redemption. There's just that Eddie chooses to love them anyway.
Yeah.
And I think this is a common thing for kids, especially like millennials and younger, who are breaking generational
traumas,
curses, whatever. And you know, a lot of them choose to forgive their parents and like maybe they distance themselves a little bit and don't completely cut them off, but they have compassion and love for them, even if they're like, you guys really fucked me up.
Yeah. Which makes them the bigger person. So much. So yeah. So after, you know, that terrible run-in, Eddie has to consult his council of one again. Yes. And so, but I think Buck is calling him this time because it's Hen's birthday and everything like that. But they end up talking about, you know, what's been happening, and they have like the funniest conversation, and Buck gives, it sounds harsh, but it is excellent advice. And it's exactly what Eddie needs to hear with the whole,
he says, damn, wait, so are you getting ready for your big basketball weekend with Christopher? And Eddie's like, you already had plans. And he's like, what do you mean? Plans like you're not invited? Because he's just like, you're his dad. What the fuck do you mean? He's like, it's a chess tournament. My dad's going with him. He's his coach. And Buck's like, who cares? Just go anyway.
Yeah. What's stopping you?
Exactly. And Eddie's like, it's not that simple. Chris is in a good place. Is he?
Are you sure?
I don't want to damage him. And Buck,
oh my God. This is
so the unhinged. Greatest lines of all time. You're his dad. He doesn't have a mom. If you don't damage him, who will? It's your job.
I love, can we just like pause for a second? Because I love that line so much on just like all of the levels. Like just number one, it's hilarious. Number two, like it is so harsh. He doesn't mean it harshly, and it is kind of something that Eddie needs to hear, because with Buck and Eddie, they don't have to sugarcoat things for each other, because they know when something is
where they're coming from.
Lighthearted.
I don't even think it was harsh.
I don't think it was harsh.
Well, just kind of jarring, I guess. Like I wasn't expecting him to say that.
Eddie was not jarred. He had this fond as fuck look on his face.
Smiling.
Yeah.
He's like, yes, be mean to me.
It was received very, very well. I was shocked. I was like, what?
It's just an insane line.
I was cackling because I was like, it's so true, because it's like, no matter how good of a parent you are and no matter how hard you try, you fuck up your kid in some way.
Yeah. And additionally, the whole Chris doesn't have a mom, when so much of what Eddie has been trying to do is find a mom for Christopher.
And the whole reason he's in this situation is because of his
because he was trying to. Like, it's so on that level, it's hilariously meta and so funny because they are kind of like acknowledging that, like, Chris doesn't have a mom, nor does he need one, because you're his dad. And so is Buck. But like, that's not part of that's not where the conversation that we're having right now. So I just loved like that. Like, Chris doesn't have a mom. He doesn't need one. You can stop looking for one for him.
Where is that post that I need?
What's it about?
Yeah. Eddie put Buck in his will, but Eddie may not be dead, but he's kind of like, he's kind of like incapable right now to parent his kids. So the person who is actually still fighting to be there for Christopher is Buck by lifting up Eddie.
Shout out whoever wrote that, but that's 100%. Yeah, I had that thought earlier. I was like, Eddie would not be able to be doing what he's doing without Buck right now.
Absolutely not.
He wouldn't, because he does not have the self-confidence. He hates himself so much, just like in general, and he hates that he hurt his kid. And he can't see past that. He can't look at anything logically. And he's definitely like hearing the shit from his mom and dad. That's not helping. And he's not talking to anyone else about this.
No. And he doesn't want to talk to anybody else about this.
Oh, no, he doesn't.
When he learns that Chimney overheard. Meanwhile, Buck is just like FaceTiming throughout the whole station, like walking around. Oh my God,
it's someone else heard my very private conversation. Bye.
Yeah. Because Buck is his confidant. But it really is like Buck is fighting for Christopher by lifting Eddie up to fight for Christopher on his own. And I think Eddie knows that. That's why one of the reasons why he listens to Buck and every time he gives this advice. I mean, he listens to him anyways, but like especially with this because it's immediate.
So shout out to Poughkeepsie's on Tumblr.
Is that a Supernatural fan?
It sounds like Supernatural fan. But they said it's not lost on me that the role Buck has taken in this storyline is the same exact one Eddie asked him to play when he put him in his will. Back then, Buck asked if Christopher's grandparents wouldn't try to take him, and Eddie told him that no one will ever fight for his son as hard as Buck, essentially asking him to not only push
for him.
Essentially asking him to not only push back against his parents, but to also win if that ever happened. And now Eddie isn't dead, but he's understandably hesitant to do anything that might hurt Christopher by pushing too hard. And in the effort to not fight him, he'd accidentally stopped fighting for him for a time as well, until Buck, who has full faith in Eddie and doesn't share those fears, starts fighting for both of them and pushing Eddie to be the kind of dad Christopher needs and Eddie needs to be again. All this to say, the will was never about what place Buck might have in their family if Eddie actually died. It was always about the place he already has, the one he's earned over and over again.
Can you send that tweet so I can put it in the show notes? And I'm gonna cry too.
Oh no!
I'm so sorry.
It's fine. Like, this section of Eddie will be an hour long, and it's 2 hours long, and just us intermittently crying. Okay, it's fine. So normal about Eddie. So normal about him. That's why I'm buck coated. We're both so normal.
Oh man, that actually like really got me too.
Oh, like yeah.
And then go ahead.
That just connects all of the like loose thoughts I think we've been having about that, but that just like summarizes it all so well in a beautiful way and tying it in with the will and like using that like as I guess a symbol,
like a vehicle for that.
Yeah, it's really great. I did just want to like go over the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. We're good. We're good. I know. No, we're good. So he's like, it's like, you got to damage him. It's your job. And Eddie's like, I would have to kick my dad off the bus. And Buck's like, they're taking a bus. Eddie, yeah, with limited seating, evidently. Well, take an Uber. You're an Uber.
Think
Take
about
yourself.
it.
Don't you want to go? And he's like, of course I do. And he's like, so go. Nobody can stop you. You know, dad up.
I love that.
And he's like, dad up? That's your advice? And he's like, Chimney, fucking tell him.
I know.
And he's like, I hate to admit it in this instance, I think Buck is right. And then Eddie's like, you heard the whole thing? Because he's like, I'm not spilling my inner anxieties out to anyone but Buck. This is an A-B conversation.
I know. Because again, you know, Eddie really likes that compartmentalization of his like personal and his work life. Buck is really one of the only ones that like straddles both of those. Straddles that.
Sometimes
that
Bobby gives him advice.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
It's not as good advice.
It's not
as,
very good
as Buck's advice.
Most of the
Buck's
time.
advice for Eddie is always exactly what he needs to hear.
It's because he always goes to Bobby for relationship advice. And he needs to be getting it from a gay person. Go to literally anyone else.
The rest of the 118 is right there. Yeah.
And Karen.
Oh my God, right? No, that would be, they would be too powerful. But while they're having this whole conversation, right? And Buck is telling Eddie, you know, dad up. Eddie is still fixing up the house, but this is kind of the first time that we see him like fix something and like it works now. Like it's just the drawer, but he fixed it and he's like, oh, good job, me.
Yay.
Sort of thing. And so this is that
small steps.
Small steps. It's that continuation of the metaphor of this fixer-upper of a house, but also Eddie, now that he's like started to make some headway with Christopher, he's fixing himself as well. So, and you know, at the end of what the Texas arc, whatever, the house is going to be just fine or like almost perfect. Maybe not quite perfect because there's still some things that have yet to be done, but it's like, okay. And then they're going to move back. Right. But
then he takes Buck's advice because he always does.
He does.
Tells him to do.
And he shows up at the chess tournament. And oh boy.
Listen, we start off with a heavy-handed metaphor, which is the girl asking if he wants to sign in. And he's like, I don't see a lot of seats here. And she says, that's why I always bring my own. Yeah, you need to bring your own seat to the table. You need to stop being like waiting around.
Be like
to be offered one.
Be like self-sufficient.
Yes.
Realize that you can take up space. Like what Hen says, you are allowed to exist in this world, in Christopher's world.
Yes.
But it has to be on you. You have to allow yourself to do that. And then we get this crazy drop with like our faces, like during our live reaction when we were watching this. We were livid.
I need blood pressure medication.
I'm still livid. I'm still, oh my
God. So fucking angry.
We're like hulking out, just like, ugh.
I was about to be Archie with the knife. Like I said, I support that man.
We support Archie's rights and Archie's wrongs.
If he needed to stab someone, there was somebody in El Paso.
We've got two people.
Sorry, elder abuse.
Matricide and matricide.
So she asks who he's there for, and he says Christopher Diaz, and she's like, "Oh, Chris, we love him. His father is right up front. If you want to go and squeeze right next to him."
Okay. I'm sorry. What? His father?
As in, there's no space there with his father
who looks old as fuck.
People can be parents at any age, Sil, but it maybe is a little less believable.
His father?
His father.
And then we get this back and forth of Chris stressed the fuck out. Eddie hanging in between the bleachers. Yes, anxiety by Dochi. Absolutely. Eddie's hanging out and like in between the bleachers, just like observing because he still won't pull up a seat for himself. And Ramon
he is literally
is
like an onlooker.
Yeah. And Ramon is like, come on, Chris, you know what to do. Come on, son. And then I think it's hilarious because in the transcript it says, come on, son. And then says retching, gasping, coughing. Which was my exact reaction in case you were wondering.
Yeah. So this whole like little sequence is very interesting because we see Christopher obviously becoming very nervous and very uncomfortable, and probably very much feeling the pressure because Ramon is right there, just like dialed in, like so focused on the outcome of the match, right? And this is where everything really, really differs, right? Ramon is so focused on Christopher's match and Christopher's success and Christopher knowing what moves to make that he's not seeing how Chris's mental health is quickly deteriorating and physical health is quickly deteriorating. Eddie, who is further away and literally like not even on the bleachers, is looking in between them, and he sees and he understands what is going on with Christopher. He doesn't care about the chess match at all. His first priority, as always, is Christopher. And when Christopher, ends up like throwing up because he's so nervous, because he feels so much pressure, Eddie's the first one to reach him. Not Ramon, who was closer, not Ramon, who has his crutches or anything. Eddie reaches him first. He says, "Give me his crutches. I got him." And it really shows, like, when push comes to shove, when Eddie allows himself to like let his instincts take over, he is the father that Christopher wants and needs. And meanwhile, Ramon is just like, "What's going on?" Ramon is like, "Eddie, why are you here?" Instead of prioritizing Christopher.
Yeah. And he's like, "Let me help you." And Eddie's like, "No, I got this." And I would just love to draw the parallel between this moment and Maddie finding her voice for G.
Just thought of it.
It's so beautiful. I love my Eddie Maddie parallels.
They're so good.
But this was the exact same thing intrinsically. He finds his voice finally because the most important thing in the world is Chris to him. It's the most important thing. All of his self-doubt, all of his fears, it washes away as soon as he sees his kid is upset and he needs him.
Because all of that is so unimportant.
Exactly.
In the grand scheme of things. And it's that fear and that love and need to protect your child. Just like we said with Maddie. It is the same exact thing.
It's the same thing. And I also think this gave him flashbacks to ballroom dancing.
Absolutely. Yes. Which we didn't know watching the scene, but we know now.
No, but we know now. And I'm sure that, maybe he didn't throw up, but he probably had some similar experiences where he was like very nervous or stressed out because there was so much pressure on him to win trophies, not to like do his best, not to have a good time. No, to win trophies so that he could get scholarships.
To succeed in a material way, which is one of the reasons I think way back, Ramon was so excited about Eddie's silver star. Which is also probably one of the reasons why Eddie doesn't want to acknowledge his silver star, because it's just another meaningless trophy to him.
Which is paralleled in a way because at the dinner that he was cooking, I think they were talking about Christopher's honor roll, like how he has all these good grades, and Christopher's trying to brush it off like, it's whatever. Really, it's not a big deal. Even though, like, I mean, it is a big deal, but like it's probably it's great, but it's the way that Helena and Ramon, like, even though we don't see it at that point, it's probably the way that they've been parenting him this entire time and like putting all this pressure on him, and he just kind of like what you said, like with the whole silver star thing, he's just like, "Oh, I did anything what I did what I should have done," like it's not a big deal. Because he doesn't want like all of that pressure bestowed on him. So
just like we saw in 201 or season 2, all of that pressure has to go somewhere, right? And it went all over the chessboard.
So we finally get like a real conversation where we get to see how Chris is feeling about anything about living in Texas. And he's just like, "I got nervous." And Eddie's like, "Yeah, I know." Because he knows his fucking kid. But also, he was seeing so much of himself and Christopher in that moment.
Yeah.
Not just because of like the competition, but because, and I noticed this, I was like, he's doing the same mouth movements that Eddie does when he's anxious and
That,
trying
like,
to
pursed
hide
lip
it.
Sort of.
Yes, the like
push it down.
like you're fighting with yourself.
Yeah.
So he's like, yeah, I know. Because, you know, he's experienced that too. And Chris knows that he's experienced that too. Like, he knows his dad had panic attacks. He saw them. And then Chris is like, hey, Dad, I hate chess. And he's like, no, you're just feeling that way. And he's like, no, I mean it.
Like, I actually hate it.
I actually
Not just because of this.
I actually can't stand it. And he's like, well, Eddie's like, I thought you loved it. And he's like, Grandpa loves it. That's all he has to say. And he's like, and you love Grandpa. Yeah.
Because Chris Chris is kind of a people pleaser. Kind of like Buck.
Like you like Buck, but also his dad is a people pleaser of
his parents.
Certain people.
Yeah.
His parents, authority figures. Yeah. And then Christopher is like, will you ask them if I can stop? And oh my God.
Because he wants Eddie to
Edmundo
advocate.
is gone. Eddie is back because he says, I don't have to ask them. If you don't want to play chess, you don't have to.
But Chris does ask for Eddie to advocate for him.
Yes, he does.
It's another door being opened.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's like, I don't want them to be mad at me when I get home. And that just breaks my heart. It just breaks my heart to be like, think that your guardians, temporary guardians, whatever, grandparents be mad at you because you got so stressed out and nervous that you threw up. Like, you should be able to depend on your parents, your grandparents, whoever is entrusted to like take care of you, to like make you feel comfortable and comfort you in moments like that. Not be scared.
Yeah, it really makes you wonder, like, what was going on in El Paso before Eddie showed up. Like, how, because we always saw them on like a good day, which I think honestly was probably a lot of Helena and Ramon performing for Eddie to show like, oh, perfect family, everyone's so happy, la 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 la, nothing's wrong.
He's doing so well here.
He's doing so well. He loves it. Meanwhile, like,
on the inside, he probably hates it, and he just doesn't want to disappoint his grandparents.
And he didn't think,
and he doesn't know that his dad. Like, it just seems like he doesn't know that his dad actually wants to be there for good, wants to be with Chris for good, and wants Chris back with him to parent him full time again. Like, it just seems like he doesn't know this, and like, yeah, part of the blame is on Eddie for not communicating that. But I feel like
some of it is absolutely on Helena and Ramon.
Exactly. Then Eddie is like, you know, they love you and they just want you to be happy. I want that too. And he says, you know, I was going to ask this weekend if you wanted to move back in with me, but I think I changed my mind. I'm not going to ask. No, I'm going to tell you. You're moving back in with me whether you like it or not, because you're my kid.
Oh,
waiting almost a year.
It's been so long.
And all it took was Buck saying, Dad up.
That's all it took.
We could have been here so much earlier.
I mean, I think there were other things that Eddie had to go through. Like,
I get
it. Starting to find the joy and but like, we're finally here.
And then Chris says, you'll be my dad again. And I burst into tears.
It was...
That was so heartbreaking. So heartbreaking.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And Eddie hugs him. He's like, I've always been your dad.
Now I'm going to start
and I'm going to start acting like it.
Hell yeah.
That's our Eddie.
He's back. Yeah. It's just like this was the breakthrough that we needed to see, that Eddie needed to have, and Chris needed to be around for.
Absolutely.
And it's just like, finally, this is where they're supposed to be now. This is how they're supposed to communicate and be there for each other. It's so good. It's so good. Just like, what a great scene, which is followed by the other most fantastic scene that we were like screaming and yelling like we were at a sports event.
Like cheering Eddie on.
So
many touchdowns.
It's like
So many home runs.
Every Thursday, it's the 911 sports event. I don't know, football event. I don't know, Thursday night football, but 911 version.
Yeah, really.
It's like a grand slam.
You know that TikTok video of the person watching like whatever sport, and they're like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Just
No.
that was us.
It was us.
Yeah. So so it's Taking Back Sunday with
I fucking hate y'all.
Including me in this.
that was all me, baby.
That was her?
Yeah.
I was not. I would like to be excluded from this narrative.
I feel like that's something you would have done, actually, even though it is a pun.
It does sound like something
think
I would have
about
done.
you when I did that. I was like, Anne will be so pleased.
It's a very millennial alternative rock joke. Yes.
Anyway, it's Taking Back Sunday. and like Eddie, he's in his power. He's taking charge. He's being authoritative. He is being the confident, competent Eddie
so
that we know
right
and
now.
love. It's
it's
so good. It's so good. Just like eat it up, right? And also like the Sass Master returns.
I'm just gonna.
Because
We're
this
just
is-
gonna go through
Yeah,
his
because this is
greatest
just
hits
pure
here.
Eddie.
He's like, "Dad didn't call you," and he's like, "Yeah, you pulled Chris from the tournament." He's like, "Then you know what's happening." Smiling,
You know what's
He's
happening.
so happy this whole time. He's got his shirt unbuttoned, which I think we'll talk about in a little bit.
Mhm.
And his slutty little strands, and he's just so happy. She's like, "You left your father in Lubbock,"
Which
he's
is
like,
like 5.5 hours away.
He's like, "I didn't want him to lose his seat on the bus."
Oh my God.
Pew pew. Got him.
Oh, that was hilarious. What are you doing right now? Just making sure he's got everything he needs for tonight. So he's sleeping at your place. Yeah, until he's 18 at least. I'll be back in a couple days to get the rest of it. So you're really just disrupting his life right now? I'm not disrupting his life, Mom. I am his life because
That's
I'm his
right.
father, not dad. And you're not his mother. You're his grandmother, and he loves you. But you know what he hates? Chess, Mom. He hates chess.
Shot after shot.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is so like it's so earned, and it's so
It is.
satisfying to see him stand up
Yeah.
to his mom and his father and just like, I know what's best, and I'm like executing that.
And he's
you're
just
not going to
doing
stop
it
me.
because he's the father. It is his decision. He knows that. He's owning it. He is dadding up.
But it's
and
also
he's
what Christopher
smiling.
wants.
It's what Christopher wants. And Christopher needs him.
Yeah.
That's above all, it's what Christopher needs. Right?
Mhm.
And I just am like, just so proud of him because
Yeah.
at no point did he ask, did he apologize? Nothing.
Mhm. He just
He just walked in there, whole chest, like knowing what he had to do and did it in the like most respectfully bitchy way possible.
Yeah.
And I loved it so
he did
much.
exactly what Hen said. He made noise. He stood up. He said, I exist and I matter and I take up space. That is standing in your power. And when he says to Helena, like, you know, I'm so glad and so grateful that Christopher had you when he needed you, but now he needs me. And that like point of pride that he has, like, I think this scene was acted so well because it's
it was.
It's very like lighthearted and jovial, but it's such a strong moment for Eddie. And like when he says he needs me, he like puffs up a little bit because he's so happy. He's so proud that Chris needs him. And it's just so beautifully done.
Mm-hmm.
So this was Checkmate.
Yes.
If you remember our season 8, episode 7 and 8 special, we had this whole section on like the symbolism in the chess. And this was an idea from,
I think,
one of our listeners, Kat. Yeah. And he said, basically, we said like Helena thinks she's won the game, captured the king, which is Christopher. And that she's playing Eddie as a pawn. And we keep seeing that in these 2 episodes
because she's
trying to
manipulating
manipulate him. right? But actually,
the pawn is can be the most powerful piece on the board because it can when it reaches all the way over, it can become a queen.
Yep. So he out-queened his mother. We love to see it.
Yes.
Holds a queen.
Yes. We re-yassified. He holds a queen. Oh my God.
It's all coming together.
U-Haul theory. Chess theory.
Intertwined. I know we have talked about it, about how we wanted Eddie to have like a Buck begins against his parents moment. I do, even though this wasn't exactly that, like the yelling and everything like that, I think this was played so well, so written so well, correct for Eddie's character.
It was acted so
and it was acted impeccably because like Eddie
so fucking well
is being so gentle and gracious to Helena when she
doesn't deserve it.
Does not deserve it.
No.
She deserves to be yelled at. She deserves to be put in her place. But he doesn't do that. And that's perfect because he's not getting angry. He's breaking these generational curses. And I was seeing a couple people like state this quote. I don't really know what it's. I tried figuring out where it's from, but nobody really knows. But attributing this quote to Eddie, like finally standing up to his parents. No one will ever know the violence it took to become this gentle.
Yeah.
And I think that is absolutely perfect. So I love the way this was written and played. It wasn't a Buck begins yelling at his parents moment, but because that was perfect for Buck.
Right.
This is perfect for Eddie. This is exactly what he needed to do.
I think so too.
I get goosebumps thinking about it. It's so good.
But I just want to come back. He hates chess. He's so anxious to please you and his abuelo that the kid's about ready to pop and you can't see it.
Yeah. Because he saw it. He saw that Ramon didn't see it, didn't pay attention, didn't care to pay attention.
Because he knows that they did not care to pay attention to this and him as well. And he brings it up.
Yeah.
This is exactly what she's like, he loves chess. He's so good at it. He's like, that's exactly what you said to me when I was 14. Same age. And I told you I wanted to quit ballroom dancing, probably in this very room. She's like, you loved it. I know you did. You took home every trophy. And he's like, yeah, I did. Until you and Dad sucked out all the fun and made it all about trophies. And then she gets more digs in. And he's just like, it's just rolling off his back. It really is.
He doesn't care enough anymore.
She's like, you could have gotten a scholarship. You could have gone to college. And he's like, I could have gone to college anyway. I chose not to. And she's like, look at you now, huh? You're a driver.
Yeah. Just she is taking every shot she can at him or trying to.
She's trying to put that
bring
doubt
him
back
down.
in him. Yep.
And he is so above any of that.
To make him complacent again.
Yes. And he's like, that's not going to bother me.
Self-doubt.
So kind of.
He's like, in this case, a getaway driver.
Peace out, y'all. It's kind of in a similar vein to what we did see with Buck. In Buck Begins, where he did forgive his parents because it's like it's so much easier to forgive people that you don't care about. We know Eddie loves his parents, but it's a similar thing where he's like, nothing you can say can hurt me anymore. I love you for being my parents, for taking care of Chris, but also I don't care what you think of me anymore because what Chris thinks of me is so much more important. And I know now for sure that he's proud of me, even if I'm not a firefighter, even if I drive Uber, it's fine because he's all that matters.
Oh, I just looked up the lyrics to this Andrew Bird song.
Oh, that plays at the end here?
Yeah. Give it a listen, y'all. I love Andrew Bird. I knew it was him, but I'm not familiar with this song. But it's basically it's a lot of metaphors to wilderness and being free.
Oh, being free. Okay.
I'm coming to the edge of the widest canyon, my companions dear. I'm starting to question my manifest destiny, my claim to this frontier. I'm coming to the brink of a great disaster. The end just has to be near. The earth spins faster, whistles right past you, whispers death in your ear. And don't pretend you can't hear. I can hear your tendrils still digging for everything that's walked this earth once living. Then to be exhumed and burned to vapor. Can you save her? Now she's in the air. This is ridiculous. The Eddie songs they choose, the needle drops are insane.
Yeah.
Now she's in the air, radical and free. Neither here nor there. She's obliged to no one.
Ooh, I love that. I'll give that a listen later.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of perfect. And then, so Eddie basically saves the day. He goes back to the car with Chris. And you can see, like, they must have spent those last 5.5 hours.
5 hours just
on the
catching
road,
up.
the Diaz boys.
So happy.
And they're so happy.
The Diaz men. This is the Diaz men.
Yeah. Because they've grown. Yeah. And then Chris is like, punch it, Dad. Which is a Star Wars reference that I didn't notice at the time. But it's so cute because it's like they're going into hyperdrive.
Mm-hmm. So cute.
The end.
The end. All right, bye.
And everybody lived happily ever after, and nothing wrong is happening next week.
No, absolutely not.
Season 8 concludes here.
So we have some parallels and symbolism.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're all so shocked.
I just wanted to point out, like, the importance of Buck and Eddie FaceTiming about, you know, even when they're disconnected physically, they're connected in communication, and specifically the parallels of how supportive Chimney was being of Maddie when she was trying to find her voice again and everything like that. And Chimney was just right there with her every step of the way, giving her good advice, just trying to have her back. Well, that is exactly what we see Buck doing for Eddie. Every moment that we saw, just Buck is unconditionally supportive, and especially because Eddie only truly soundboards to Buck.
Yeah.
So there's that parallel there. We didn't talk about with couch theory when Eddie is talking to Buck and was like, well, maybe I should go back to the 118. You're not getting kicked out of the house. I may need to borrow your couch, though. And hello, roommates, 2K25. We will see you soon. I mean, that's just like foreshadowing. They're gonna end up being roommates.
It is.
But like to also have Eddie be the one on the couch, it's just like we keep talking about this a little bit, like very lightly. It's like that little bit of role reversal that we keep seeing a bit, which is hilarious. Also, just the fact that Eddie, we were like, where's the couch? Because Buck used the birth couch in the house, but Eddie kept the couch, and that is the couch that he and Christopher reconciled with. And then we again had that coffee table blocking that we've talked about.
We have right couch, wrong house, right house, wrong couch.
Yeah. And then
we forgot to mention this earlier.
Oh,
because I think we glazed over the basketball game
that
he was trying to take Chris to, which stop trying to bribe your child. Don't have any money. Keep saying how you're penniless. Spent your last dime, penny, whatever, every last cent of your savings on that haunted house. But yeah, anyway, the basketball tickets, and you like hold them up and you wink at Buck. That's the thing we do now. Okay.
That's cute.
It is cute.
I don't remember if I said it when we were watching the episode or if I said it here. Also, still with the basketball game, at least we know that knowing Buck, who hates basketball, he's still like brushed up on, Texan teams for basketball because Eddie likes basketball.
Yeah. Also, just like the basketball stuff keeps being brought up, especially in 809 when they were showing the house and Buck was holding the emotional support basketball.
Yes.
We keep seeing basketball in relation to the two of them. Like, oh, would you say it's like love and basketball?
My God.
Well, and in 11, we get the whole story of Buck and Eddie at the basketball game.
Exactly. What we're assuming it
was the anniversary tickets.
For U-Haul theory continued very quickly. Just like the montages between the Buck is gonna be okay when he's unpacking everything in 11 to Eddie's haunted broken home and how it's just like it's not the right place. And it's so funny because it's just like, moving in, making myself comfortable. Meanwhile, Eddie's house is like trying to attack him. Like, get out.
So just to talk about Eddie's El Paso wardrobe for a couple minutes here.
aka Cowboy Couture.
Yeehaw chic. In an interview with Max Gal said, the way Eddie dresses in El Paso is noticeably different from how he dresses in Los Angeles. How intentional was his choice of wardrobe in this episode? Is he trying to fit a certain mold or image in front of his parents or Chris? Is it meant to show that he is, whether consciously or not, reverting back to who he once was in Texas? And Ryan said, it was 100% purposeful. I made that call, and I asked him and Elena Price, who is our head of our costumes, about that. I noticed that when I'm in LA, I tend to dress a certain way, and you can be a little more stylish out in LA. But if I go back to my hometown of Sacramento, I kind of fall back into what I grew up in. I throw on some hoodies, some random sneakers, whatever it is, and just kind of like that vibe. It feels like home, but it's not overthought. It's not trying to be something I'm not. It's just where I come from. So when we first met Eddie, he was kind of dressing more like he is now in El Paso. And over the course of 7 years, he started to find his own style, his own version of whatever it was in LA. And now that he's back in Texas, it's kind of like, oh, I'm putting back on this comfortable gear that I've always had. And it's just allowing himself to integrate in El Paso again. You're talking about masking, Ryan. Talking about putting on a costume to fit in. For me, the story behind the clothes was that he's fully accepting the fact that he's not leaving El Paso, and he's made a commitment to stay there for his kid. So there's no LA there at all. It's just, I'm here now. I want you to know that I'm not going. And I love these decisions he keeps making for his character.
Mm-hmm. I thought that was so interesting because in these last 2 episodes, like before we saw that, we were really like honing in on
the hair,
Eddie's wardrobe.
Oh. Never mind. I'll talk about the hair though.
Oh yeah. You'll get there. Because it is so drastic. Like it's a visual medium. We saw it was so drastically different from what he usually wears, like with all of the plaids and everything like that. So we were really interested in that in the first place because I think we see a lot in 8-12. Eddie was tending to wear these clothes that like kind of made him blend into the background, especially when he was with Helena and Ramon and Christopher, making himself invisible kind of on purpose. So like he was wearing like that cream plaid, and the entire kitchen was kind of those like light neutral colors and all sorts of stuff like that. So it is really interesting whose decision that was to start off with.
Also, on top of that, we have the hair. I don't remember if I mentioned it in our last special, but
I don't know.
I don't remember anything. I don't remember what I did yesterday. But anyway,
we watched 911 yesterday.
Crashed out.
And I think it actually kind of started in the last episode of season 7 because he did have to slutty what we've affectionately labeled it as the slutty strand. Yeah, so
just like lightly disheveled, you know?
Lightly disheveled, the strands of hair. So I think it starts a little bit in season, like at the last, in the season 7 finale, but like his hair. So when it's slicked back, that's when he has to, that's also like, I guess like his mask and also like being in control of himself and like not being able to let loose. But slowly but surely as the season progressed, like his hair started to get like fluffier and like the strands started to go like down his face, and the more comfortable he is and the more vulnerable he is, the strands are more prominent, and he just looks so freaking beautiful in that last scene where he's like telling his mom off and finally like being himself and like regaining that confidence and like he's like back in his own skin, you know what I mean? So like
yeah,
he's the strands are out.
Himself.
Yeah, so when he's feeling more himself, the hair, the strands are out, and
it's the self-confidence is back. The confidence in himself to be a good father. That's what we're seeing. That's back.
Yeah. I think I definitely think that has been like an intentional choice throughout the season.
While he's in Texas, when he's doing the interview or when he's with Ramon and Helena, he has his hair, normal. Before that last scene, obviously, he has it slicked back. But when he's in his death trap of a house, haunted house,
Yes.
He's in tank top and he's got
Every
the
time
hair.
he's home.
Anytime he's home and he's talking to, he's
by himself
he's
or talking
by
to
himself or
Buck.
talking to Buck. The strands are out.
The strands are out, and he's got his cut off tank tops with his dad jeans. It's his LA stuff.
Yeah,
it is a LA look.
Yeah,
and kind of similarly to like the hair where it's slicked back when he's like not feeling, when he's like trying to impress and everything. There's a tweet by Boy Crush Buckley, and it just like compiled a couple pictures about how like Eddie slowly, like the shirts that he's wearing like become more open and like unbuttoned as these 2 episodes progress. So like when he arrives in El Paso, he's very like buttoned up sort of thing. And I think, Han, you mentioned, at the very end where he's telling off his mom, it's like fully like the denim jacket or whatever is fully unbuttoned with the t-shirt underneath, and it's like he's not closing himself off at all anymore. So it's opening himself up in that way.
Yeah.
Through his clothing. I think there's a lot of visual storytelling going on with his wardrobe and hair and everything that's done very subtly, which is cool.
Wardrobe department always on point.
Yeah.
Let's do this one. This is a fun one. So I don't know if you remember season 1.
Oh Lord.
All the way back.
All the way back in season 1 with Abby. I know, sorry, jump scare. When Buck is having one of his first conversations with her. I can't remember exactly which episode it's from. It's the 3rd episode, maybe?
Was it Let Go?
No, I think
it's after that.
It's after that. I think it's 3. I think it's 3 or 4.
It's when she calls when she's at the ice cream place.
Yes. And
I don't remember which one that is.
He's like, can I ask you something? How old are you? And then he does this whole quote about, and she's like, why? And he does this whole quote about how like, because like everyone my age, like never calls people. Like we text people. We blah, blah, blah. I think it's like
Marco
Facebook
Polo.
was used. Marco Polo, which really dates it.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is.
If it's really, that existed.
During COVID.
Yeah. Was like the height of that, I think. He's like, if it's really serious, we FaceTime. But like, we're not making phone calls. It's just like millennials notoriously fucking hate phone calls. We hate them.
Yeah.
It's just true. So he's like, how old are you? And then in episode 13, when Buck's like, what's Hen's favorite pie? And Eddie's like, you forgot her birthday, didn't you? And he's like, you remembered? And he's like, we're Facebook friends.
Oh my God.
And Buck's like, oh my God, how old are you? Which is so funny because I think they're not that far apart in age. I do think Eddie's a little older, but also Buck, it was like 3 episodes ago, you were talking about Gerard friending you on Facebook. So this is just him flirting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is just him flirting.
Yeah. And
this is how he flirts. He was flirting with Abby when he did this too.
And he knows that Eddie's a technophobe.
But you know what? I don't think he FaceTimed with Abby.
No, he never
So
did.
it wasn't
so
serious.
interesting. It wasn't serious.
Mm-mm.
How many times have we seen him and Eddie FaceTime in 2 episodes?
4.
Wow.
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 But you know what Abby and Buck did do? I think they had phone sex, right?
Yeah.
Or implied.
Implied.
Yeah.
And you know what?
It was a fade to black.
Yeah.
Wait.
Not
Doesn't
far off.
hold on. Well, No, I was thinking
What?
about his little outburst to Tommy about how like I don't think it connects, but it was the whole
I'm
I'm
have to have feelings for everyone I sleep with.
Yeah. I don't know if you can see where I was going with that for a second there, but
Kind of do. I think Buck puts a lot of importance and feelings on that relationship that aren't actually well warranted or existed.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the first time he really felt seen by someone and like felt like he was wanted and like had a connection.
Yeah.
But I don't really think that. I really don't think he actually loved her. I'm so sorry.
No, he thought he did.
I think
he
he
thought he did. But I don't think he did actually love her.
Mm.
I think he was just really like, I just want to be able to be there and please her and all of that, but I don't. Well,
she was the first taste he had of the kind of connection and attention that he wanted
That he was
in a
he was
partner, because
searching
all
for.
he wants is a life partner to build a family and a home with. That's all he wants. Anyway,
we have a foreshadowing of so when Eddie's at the interview, they talk the Captain Morales talks about how like he had hired someone before or a year ago that was, you know, like top notch, had a great resume and whatever, who left 4 months later because his wife took a job in St. Louis and he went with her. Well, he went with her to be with her. And Eddie's like, well, you don't have to worry about that. I'm single. Are you? Are you sure? Because I don't know.
tell it to your FaceTime log.
Yeah. So I mean, we still kind of don't know what's happening 14, 15 or when Eddie's coming back,
No
to be
idea.
honest. We have no clue. But let's be real, like that is heavy-handed foreshadow.
It's what's
He's coming back and it's going to be
For
because
Buck.
of Buck.
Yes.
Absolutely. I did love this part when Eddie bought the PlayStation. It was like, it's just a little piece of joy, because he knows how important finding joy is, and he's prioritizing joy. He's doing it for Christopher. He needs to be doing it for himself. I think he'll be able to more now, but
he finds joy in giving his kid joy.
Exactly.
But also, this is maybe a reach, but I kind of saw it as a little bit of a metaphor for like the joy that he found and then had to return.
Oh, I see that.
Like with Buck,
Mm-hmm.
the 118,
Mm-hmm.
LA.
Mhm.
He found joy there,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and then he had to return it.
Mhm.
Had to return to El Paso.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just like he
Um,
also had to return the little piece of joy he had with his truck as well.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Chris getting into his Uber and him having to pretend that he didn't know Chris and pretending he wasn't his father. It's
Ugh.
giving denial. It's giving hiding who you really are.
Yeah, that is what it is.
It is what it says on the tin.
So now we finally get to peek into the looking glass
There's not much to see,
of
folks.
what's coming next. And boy, do we not know a lot.
Nope.
We know nothing.
I gave up, honestly. I'm giving up with like
I'm
the
trying,
production
but like
and like filming
I know,
things
it's
last
been-
minute and all of that.
It's been so confusing.
I don't know
and
what
you
episode
know
they're
what?
on.
We're totally fine going in on things blind, and I think that's kind of what's going to happen. So the next episode, which will be coming out the day this comes out, which is 8/14, it's titled Sick Day. It will air on April 10th. We have a synopsis. Let me read you the synopsis. It says, in part 1 of a 2-part episode, the 118 is called to a research lab that has been set on fire and becomes a biohazard. Wow, thank you so much. Give us nothing. Oh,
Wow.
in a 2-part thing, the 118 get called to a fire.
Wow,
The
911
firefighters
is a
fight
show
fire.
about firefighters.
that actually is groundbreaking.
like I know usually like the synopses are usually kind of like a nothing burger anyways, but this is like so
It doesn't even say a character name. Normally it gives like the A plot character.
It's
in a
literally
sentence.
just like, this is part 1.
Nothing.
There will be a part 2. There's a fire. There are
Yeah.
firefighters. Ta-da. That's all we know.
Yep.
And then the week after is going to be 8/15. That's titled Lab Rats. That will be airing on April 17th. We have no synopsis for that one, understandably. So it is kind of interesting though, because this 2-part event is being marketed as 911 Contagion, which like any more veteran 911 people than we are, have they ever marketed a like opening emergency or a big emergency thing with like a title like this? Because they didn't even really title like the B-NATO or the plane. Like you have tsunami, but like that's just what it is.
Logo.
Yeah, it has a logo and everything. So like, have we seen that before? I'm curious, but so it is interesting that they're calling it something.
Yeah.
That means it's big, which like we know. And
we know because Tim and Oliver haven't stopped talking about how big it is.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody hasn't stopped talking. So there's a couple of quotes I found from both Ryan and Annie Rude. So Ryan said like about the rest of the season moving forward. This is from TV Fanatic. So the interview is with Whitney Evans, I think. Hang on. Yes. So Ryan said, I will say that Eddie will have so much growth in these next couple of episodes, but then he's also going to be tested and have something bring him back to the old school Eddie. And we'll see if he's learned anything over the last 7 years and if he's applying it or if he's going to go back and stay reserved and go back to how we first met him. And I'm so intrigued and like slightly
what does that mean?
What does that mean? Is that like the return of confident, competent Eddie that like we saw at the very beginning? What is this return to this?
Pulling bombs out of legs?
It might be.
Is he going to punch Tommy in the face?
It never crossed my mind, but like
It would eat.
Oh, like Fight Club?
Yeah. Well,
That
it
would be
would be a
interesting.
return to Fight Club, but like, I mean,
Yeah.
Tommy says
I'm
something
just
fucking
saying.
stupid,
Just
and then
Just like that
punch him,
emphasis,
man. That I don't mind. You can do that.
that emphasis of like seeing Eddie how we first met him. And I'm just like, I'm so interested by that. You know, I don't know really what that means. We'll find out. And then Enerude said in Hello Magazine that Ravi will be in several upcoming episodes. And we're going to get some explosive moments, pun intended, which I think we kind of saw in that little promo video, or next week promotional, pun intended. And we'll really find out more about how he has grown and changed. Ravi has definitely become someone who is now willing to take the lead and is ready to put himself on the line and be dependable. I think you'll get a chance to see that in the coming episodes and see things that I think you would not expect from Ravi. I'm so excited. I'm so excited Ravi's back. I'm nervous because I don't want him harmed. No harm shall come to him.
Leave the people's princess alone.
No,
Leave
or he
him
needs to
alone.
change. He needs to go back to B shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the worst thing that could happen to him.
A shift is cursed for Ravi. Like he just
He's
should
been
not.
back for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And
He's been back for 5 minutes. He's been called the wrong name. He's about to get exploded.
No.
Like,
Struggle
leave
busting over
Ravi
here.
alone. Leave Ravi alone, but like keep him there. Just like don't let anything happen to him. So I think those are two things with both Eddie and Ravi to look forward to, and that's pretty much all we know.
Stage 4 Eddie Diaz on Tumblr has a gigantic brain and has this it's not a theory, it's just that they noticed that there was foreshadowing and symbolism that has predicted the storylines of everyone in their costumes in 705 masks.
Yes.
So, Hen was a mad scientist, upcoming biohazard arc. Chim was Jason, a serial killer, and his wife Maddie was kidnapped and nearly killed by one, and he also was almost killed by one too, by the same one. And we have Vampire Bobby. Vampires are undead, and lore says they sleep in coffins. And Bobby is supposed to be getting buried alive, allegedly, with these script leaks. Then we have a Werewolf Eddie, which we already clocked because this is a very big like queer coded symbol. But it isn't just the queer coding thing. It's about transformation and identity. And so even if you take away the gay realization arc, part of his arc, it is very much about transforming and coming into his own and just being who he truly is. He's already regaining his confidence in who he is as a father. And now we need to see him do that with like literally every other aspect of his life. So great symbolism there. We have Cowboy Buck with a giant mustache because I'm so sorry, Buck. Your entire storyline this year is Eddie.
It is.
It's just Eddie. So the mustache, Eddie. Cowboy, Texas, Eddie. Eddie moving to Texas, leaving you. Yeah. But they also, so they said it's about Texas, but also recklessness and impulsivity, which are considered cowboy traits. And in the UK, a cowboy is someone who is false or dishonest, which fits in with the theme of him lying to himself and like hiding his true feelings. It's so big brained. I love it. Oh, and then they go on to like talk about how Billy Boyles is a Tommy metaphor. So we'll link it. You should read it. It's great. Okay, then we have some foreshadowing. And the foreshadowing is for what? All of this foreshadowing, I'm so sorry, is for an Eddie NDE, specifically a nightmare, coma dream, something.
/ something that happens while he is unconscious.
He's unconscious. Okay. And we're going to hold your hand and we need you to stick with us. Okay.
Stick with us. We have a vision.
It's visioning.
It is visioning. Okay.
We're prophets. We prophesy.
And
we have sight. We see you, Eddie.
Oh, we definitely see him. But if this doesn't happen, it didn't come from us. Goodbye.
You didn't hear this. There are not recordings online forever of us talking about it. It's okay.
However,
we're fine with being
But
wrong.
if you want to make a fanfic, let us know.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Please.
I want to read it. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, we're starting with Maddie. Oh, so many Maddie Eddie parallels. But the foreshadowing, the nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
The nightmare. Some of the stuff that's said during the nightmare.
She says, like, I think the dreams are trying to tell me something, first of all. Right. And we already have established, like,
yes, I think the dreams are trying to tell me something.
Kind of similarly to Buck's coma dream, where like it was trying to tell him something.
I support whatever helps you move past. It's what she did to you, but I'm like, I support whatever coma dream the writers choose to make him have to move past Shannon and his repression. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's fucking go.
Especially with Maddie when she goes to the doctor and the doctor, she's at the doctor and Chimney's like, this could all be in her head sort of thing because it's a psychological thing.
Yeah.
And the doctor reiterates and says, and only the patient can determine when they heal, when and how they heal. So it's a self journey that you have to go through.
Then we have pressure cooker, which he was making his barbacoa in, which apparently is potentially controversial. I saw Lizzie tweet something about that, trying to get Latinidad opinions on. Maddie has, when she's on her first day back on the job, Josh gives her a pep talk, which is not really a pep talk. It's just like, you're amazing. You can do no wrong. And she's like, no pressure, though.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Chance.
Oh, the little boy.
Chance, the little boy. And I think they had just moved. I think they were Latino, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think they were Latino. They had just moved and the father was unconscious.
Why did they move? For his father's new job. Which is, what happened? Oh, when we meet Eddie. Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Chris and Chance were probably like the same.
Mm-hmm. But also Eddie now moving to a new house for a job.
Well,
that he didn't have.
Sure, being a father, if you want to call that, or his job of being a father.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's literally a parallel for Eddie and Chris and an NDE.
And an
that Maddie is on the, the 911 call facilitating. And then what Rachel said about this could all be in her head.
One of our favorite actors, Mr. Rob Benedict, hailing from Supernatural. How we know him with the whole car and the car garage. So his livelihood depends on his mobility, which is like driving, right? And he has his like license suspended, but he continues to drive. So, who else's livelihood depends on their mobility, specifically driving right now? Oh, maybe newly minted Uber driver Eddie, and also firefighting depends on his mobility as well.
Mm-hmm. So if something happened to him physically, he wouldn't be able to do that job anymore.
And then as Ozzy, or whatever his name is, runs kind of out of the parking garage, it's a Toyota, which is funny because Eddie also now has a Toyota.
We saw him buy in the same episode.
Yeah.
So interesting.
And eventually when the 118 are trying to save him, and he is so like scared of getting out of the car and everything moving around, he says, like, he's being very kind of self-sacrificing. He's like, no, it's fine. Just leave me. It's my time. Like, I can just leave me. It's fine. You know, just very self-sacrificing. Like, doesn't really want to move past it, move to safety, especially when it's Buck that's offering that safety, first of all, because Buck is offering that lifeline, that safety strap. And then Ozzy says, you know, it's my time. It's fate. I've weaseled out too many times. And I was like, okay, I know that relates to Eddie, but here's definitively how, because in that TV Fanatic interview that Ryan did, he was like talking about how Eddie backslid a little bit into old habits with lying about his job. And he's like, we know that Eddie tends to fib a bit and bend the truth to maneuver around his reality. So Eddie does kind of weasel his way out of things.
Oh, he's also cheated death a lot of times.
He's cheated death, and he's also like, when you're thinking about it, like weaseling out of things, who weaseled their way out of paying a fine for a boot on a tire by just removing the tire? That is weaseling out of stuff. Absolutely. So that's all very Eddie and potentially NDE coded.
Tying into that, we also have the Uber, or honestly, really what it is sleeping behind the wheel, foreshadowing. So Eddie, in 812, after that girl basically was giving him all of that advice, she also told him, don't drink coffee, drink energy drinks, which with his anxiety and his panic attacks and all that other stuff, I think that's a recipe for disaster. That's not something that you'd want to do constantly. In moderation, maybe, but I don't think so. We also see him like falling asleep when he and Buck were looking for Maddie in 810. He was falling asleep behind the wheel. I get that they were up all night, but he really was tired. He really needed something. Then there's literally my worst nightmare come true.
Nightmares again. And
really, this isn't his worst nightmare. His worst nightmare had already happened.
Yeah. So now that he's solved that worst nightmare, what would his worst nightmare be? The ability to return to the 118?
Yeah.
Possibly, because Bobby's dead. Maybe Buck dating Tommy?
Yikes.
Possibly Gerard being the captain of the 118 again.
Just Eddie not being there for his family.
Yeah. So if he really does get into this coma dream, like at least this way he gets to face it.
Face the consequences.
Like of not being able to return. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have Archie. Poor, sweet Archie. Who has never done anything wrong in his entire life.
He doesn't deserve jail.
He deserves a psychiatric hold.
Yeah, but it's
probably and some mood stabilizers.
Yeah, he was
needs
pushed to the brink.
Grippy sock vacation.
Grippy sock vacation, which is also again Eddie coded. So stop. According to like us in season 7. So
oh my god, this man.
There are so many things about Archie.
We went over them earlier a little bit. It's the getting buried alive in his own mattress.
Yeah.
It's the getting cheated on in his own room.
Yeah. There's also
And if you're not, I'm sorry if you didn't follow me. I'm just thinking like emotional cheating, right?
Yeah.
Because like Buck and Eddie aren't actually together, but like You think he'd be cool if
He found
or
out.
when he finds out that Buck and Tommy hooked up and that they did it in
Ew.
Eddie's bedroom in his house?
Ugh.
You think he?
Burn the bed, burn the couch, burn.
Can't burn the loft anymore. That's gone.
That's gone.
But Archie has so many car troubles. We're seeing a lot of car troubles, especially with a character who's just become a driver professionally. So Archie has a flat tire. He gets stuck under a truck. He gets his car towed. The bus that he's on crashes. That one was because of him, and they had to put the spiky strips out. At his performance review when he's getting fired, his boss says only one person gave you a review and they said you were neutral. So that's kind of like Eddie receiving 1 or 0 stars to start off with, and also that feeling of being under pressure. So this is all just very Eddie stuff coded. But my goodness, once Archie has his breaking point and he takes the bus hostage and everything like that, there are some very interesting parallels to 413 and 414, right?
What in the homo bromanicism?
Yeah. So the guy that he accidentally ends up stabbing, one of the sports guys, immediately starts getting triaged by his friend in a very specifically familiar way to how we saw Buck deal with Eddie when Eddie got shot. And I think they say the same thing, come on, stay with me, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Oh no, Jeremy, don't die. Oh, don't die, dude. Come on. You're okay.
Mm-hmm. Which is very similar. So not only that, and then we have the presence of SWAT, the presence of the sniper, the SWAT vests and everything like that. And also at the very end where they're leaving the bus and, he reaches for the pocket. Very stupid, but he gets shot at and Hen saves him and gets tackled to the ground very close to underneath the bus.
Mm-hmm.
So that just is very reminiscent of 413. Take that how you will. Just wanted to put
We're
it
just
out.
saying
Also,
that the math is mathing.
Yeah, I mean, and then you add the Maddie parallel too. It's it's very, all of this is very, very intentional. Again, I keep saying, this is, I don't know what it is about season 8, but it really does feel like they've been going through Buddy's greatest hits.
Yes.
I wonder why.
Buddy's greatest disaster near-death experience hits, especially. And the ones we're listing right here are just from these 2 episodes. We've been listing these all season. You can
and they
go
all
back.
Point to Eddie,
yes,
specifically,
Eddie.
Or Christopher, or both of them specifically. Kind of.
I think we're getting both of them. Are we getting it at the same time? I
doubt it.
Think so,
but I think it's happening.
I kind of hope not. But they're both having one.
Yeah.
I don't see how they're not.
The time's almost up on the crock pot.
Oh God. Speaking of, this leads us to our what if Buddie Forecast.
Crock pot theory.
Slow cooker, slow burn.
There we go. Slow cooker, slow burn. It was a recipe for 8 hours. 8 seasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
it said that it was cooking for 7 hours and 45 minutes. And then so that would be 15 minutes left.
I know that a lot of people have taken this and they're doing the Taylor Swiftification math on it, and I get that.
Fair.
I think the overall takeaway from this is that this is a slow burn and that's happening, but it's not done yet.
Be patient.
So just patient, just be patient, because what does Buck say?
It's more like a guideline.
A slow cooker is never wrong. It better be fork tender, is what Eddie says. A slow cooker is never wrong. Recipes are just a guideline. I'm so sorry. 7 hours and 45 minutes. Yeah. I'm taking this to mean it's happening. Slow burn.
Slowly.
But also 8 hours would mean 8 seasons after they meet, which is what we've been saying the whole time, is that them getting together is happening in season 9.
Yeah.
Therefore, we're right. Thank you, slow cooker theory. Ooh, I don't like that foreshadowing.
Which one?
Because their conversation starts out, I'm not gonna make it. Hey, you're gonna make it.
Oh yeah. When he's cooking. Like time is running out sort of thing. Kind of like, oh no, time might be running out for like
You know what?
NDE.
I just meant for an NDE.
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah. No, you know, there was another set of dialogue in one of their FaceTime calls, and I think was it this one or was it the other one?
Give me a keyword to look up.
You haven't asked him yet? Was it this one?
Mm.
Yeah. I don't want to be heavy-handed about this. Okay, have you asked him yet? No, I was hoping he would ask me. I want it to be his choice.
I don't know.
And you're setting your honey trap using barbacoa.
See, I don't know.
And the Mavericks using food and basketball? Are you speaking from experience, Buck?
Oh my God. Okay. So there's parallels there, but there's also like maybe foreshadow because like we all say that I think that Eddie needs to choose Buck and all of that.
Yeah.
He needs to also ask him. He needs to be the one to initiate all of that.
And we see how much he gets done, how much Eddie gets done when he's like, you know, feeling himself. He's feeling like empowered. Like he has like, even though he wants Christopher to open the door for him, once that happens, it's game on, you know, or in this case, it would be
So do you
Buck.
think that looks like Buck Feelings confession?
I don't know.
Could be like heat of the moment.
Because I think if Buck actually surface realizes, he can't keep that from Eddie.
No.
Especially if they're living together. He's got to blurt it out. Because first of all, he can't keep a secret. He can't lie because he's keeping secrets from Eddie, like lying for some reason.
That doesn't feel good to him.
No. But also, I think he would just want Eddie to know how much he's loved.
Yeah.
Because he sees it so often. And I feel like if we were to get that before like Eddie has his full realization, whether that means his queer realization or his feelings realization, he wouldn't act on that right away, right? But once that clicks, then he would be like, okay, let's go.
I see the vision. Buck. He confesses his feelings in a Buck way in the kitchen. It's very sweet. And Eddie's doing kind of similar face that he did at the end of 809. Right? When he takes over the
like
when he sublets the place.
Yeah.
Right? And Buck gives this beautiful speech about why he loves Eddie. And he's like, I just wanted you to know. He's like, and just so you know, I know this doesn't change anything between us.
Yes.
I just wanted you to know.
Oh my God.
He he either leaves or like he goes to sleep, whatever. And then Eddie's laying there like, what do you mean this doesn't change anything?
This changes everything. The shoe's on the other foot now, isn't it?
That would eat down bad.
So good.
It'd be so good. And what would trigger that conversation? So like, I mean, I'm thinking heat of the moment. I'm thinking also because fucking Tarantula is back.
Tomato.
Tomato the tarantula.
Not the tomato. Anyway, yes, Mr. Tomato is back. Like I keep feeling like, look, he's still a plot device if he's back. Even if he's helping with the fucking emergency, I still think he's still a plot device, and I still think that he's gonna say something fucking stupid, whether it be at just Buck,
Eddie.
but he's gonna say it to Eddie.
Yeah.
It has to be. That would be just
Passive aggressive, just to like twist the knife a little bit.
And then to go with what Hannah's saying, like Eddie kind of confronts Buck in the kitchen or having their conversation in the kitchen. He's like, so what did Tommy mean about that? Or also, this is where Buck comes clean about what happened. So, and then all of that happens. And then, yeah, whatever Han said.
And then Buck might be saying, and then everybody thought that I was in love with you. That's crazy, right? Ha 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 ha. And just like leaves Eddie spiraling. Like, what do you mean? Let us write the show.
No, please
don't. We have too much fun watching it.
Please don't. I'm too stressed.
Yeah, I can't. I don't have the ability to like have the forethought to add in all of the incredible like foreshadowing and the parallels and all of that stuff.
We could just point it out.
I mean, like what we're doing right now is including that stuff, but it's like very specific things. Like I would not be able to do it consistently for everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm saying this. Like they're actually thinking about hiring us. This is just the autism jumping out. I'm so sorry. But
we're analyzers.
I do think it's interesting because we already revisited 704, 705 once, right?
Mm-hmm. On one side.
On one side. I think we're revisiting it again. I think it was implied by Oliver, unless I'm misremembering.
I don't know.
I know what you're saying. I think I heard that, but I don't know. If we do, we do.
Because it was like blah, 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 put on the back burner for now.
Yeah.
So I think it would just be interesting to have I know this doesn't change anything between us, revisited, but in the opposite direction.
And he's already said it once to Tommy.
Mm-hmm.
And in that instance, Tommy was like, no, this does change stuff. Because like, I want to try again.
Why not? He said, why not?
Why not? Exactly. Ooh. Ooh. I love it. Oh, brain blast.
No, one more thing. Okay. What if during the
You should hear this
NDE,
too.
what if during the NDE, Eddie's NDE, like Buck is there, and he confesses his feelings, like in the heat of the moment.
And Eddie
like
is
you're
unconscious,
saying,
but he hears it.
but he hears it
because of all of the other stuff that he would be hearing from like hot shots on the TV
so
or something.
Eddie brings it up because like they're having a conversation reminiscent of like when Buck died before. And he's like, do you remember anything about getting shot? Blah, 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 blah. So it's reminiscing that kind of conversation. And Eddie's like, this and this and this and this. And like, you said you were in love with me. And then he comes clean. He's like, oh, that wasn't a dream. But don't worry. It doesn't change anything between us.
And Eddie's like, why do I kind of want it to?
Uh-huh. Eddie, and then we get Eddie, who is going to be gay face.
Oh, guys, we're cooking in that slow cooker, I'm telling you. Oh my God.
I love it.
So kind of in the same vein of us looking at the forecast for Buddie, right? And what will come. Ryan, who did an interview. I'm sorry. I know we're almost done. Ryan did an interview with Nicole Gallucci, and who writes for The Decider. It's actually a 2-part interview. It's really excellent. We can link both articles, but fantastic interview, fantastic article.
So from this second part of the article that dropped on April Fool's Day, what a day that was on 911. Twitter and just fandom spaces. After learning he wasn't able to work as a firefighter, Eddie traded in his truck and became an Uber driver to make ends meet, 2 major developments that play a role in his ongoing search for self. Ryan said, I believe that he's been searching to find his identity and find himself, and in doing so, in asking that question, life will give you all of the obstacles to destroy what you're used to. And that's what we've seen in the last 7 years. We had to destroy who Eddie thought he was. He was this all-American individual with a silver star. He was seen as this war hero who could handle high-pressure situations with calmness and didn't really emote too much. He kept everything close to the sleeve, and over these last 7 years, we went the complete opposite route. Now that Eddie's back home in Texas, Guzman said he'll be able to access crucial parts of himself that were unavailable in Los Angeles. Quote, he's been able to really go back to his foundation and restructure himself. Now the parts that we weren't able to get to are now available to us because now we're in El Paso. We're back into the family dynamic, and that's where all this usually stems from, the mother and father relationship. So now he's getting the opportunity to reinvent himself in front of his family and showcase that he's not just the little boy that needs taking care of. He's not the all-American hero to impress his father. He's his own man, and that comes through so many adversities. We have the eventful 8/11 saw Buck reunite with his ex-boyfriend, Tommy, who revealed he was ready to give their relationship another shot since the competition was out of the way. When Buck pressed him to explain the comment, Tommy revealed he felt somewhat threatened by Buck and Eddie's close friendship, which didn't sit well with Buck. Ryan said, I think that Tommy's a little insecure. He's got something in front of him that he doesn't know how to take full advantage of, so now he has to compare himself to Eddie. Guzman told Decider, admitting that he does understand the root of Tommy's emotions. Quote, When you have such a bond like Eddie and Buck do, I think it's going to be naturally infuriating to a significant other because it's like, well, why don't we have that bond? What? But I think emotions and feelings cannot always be a full representation of what the actual relationship is.
Hey, Ryan?
What?
They're talking about how in 12 it is addressed and kind of questioned whether Buck is in love with Eddie. And Ryan responds with, as far as what Buck is going through and what Tim Minear is writing, I don't know if it's insinuating that he might have feelings for Eddie or not, or that he just deeply cares about him. It's kind of open to interpretation, but I think it does play into a lot of people's curiosities. And I think we all, this is still quote, and I think we all, especially Oliver and I, are curious. What is their story? What's going on there? This messy thing between them. Sorry, that was me, not him. What's going on there? Is there something that does need to be addressed? Is this something that he needs to admit to himself or follow through? Or is this something that's nothing and everybody else is making a bigger deal than it actually is? So that's TBD. The only person who really knows those answers is Tim. So just very, very interesting of how everybody is so curious about what's going on there.
Including
So curious.
the actors and characters themselves.
Actors and the characters, exactly. Like, because it's being addressed in the text, the clock is ticking for when it will be addressed on Eddie's side. And they're all very curious. And it has to be.
Because they opened up the conversation, so it has to be narratively. I do want to read a little bit more. I know we're in the Buddy section, but this is also the NDE. And the NDE ties into Buddy because, like, everything is about Buddy.
Yeah.
So, quote, we can't just have a story that's all happy-go-lucky and everything's perfect because that's just not how life is. Things are going to happen in Eddie's life that completely destroy his foundation all over again. And we will see how he recoups from that. Is he going to go backwards, or is he going to learn from his past and continue to evolve? There's going to be some massive things that happen in Eddie's life soon. Then Nicole referred back to part 1 of her interview that said, Eddie is not going to sacrifice his relationship with his son to return to Los Angeles. So without his blessing, with his blessing, there's nothing happening that's going to bring him back, slight of a crazy event.
Oh, a crazy event, you say? How about a crazy 2-part event that has a name?
911. Contagion.
Yeah. And I think that is kind of just like reiterating some things that Ryan has said in other interviews where he is saying, like, there are going to be lots of big changes for Eddie, but then also kind of like a reversion to him at the way that we just met him. And I'm like, this is so interesting to me. What's going on?
All of the stuff about like getting into his character and breaking down his foundations and the identity and just it's all giving Eddie, who is going to be gay
and unconscious.
Oh, we love to see it. Oh man.
So yeah, anyway, there's a lot. There's a lot going on.
We have a lot going on at the moment.
I think we've kind of like talked about this ad nauseum. That's as much as we can get into right now.
There's more, but we really do need to wrap it up because, you know, we got to save energy for more crash outs tomorrow and Sunday.
Inevitably,
when something happens.
Sunday, we've been living in this Bobby potential thing world for a week. This week has been like 8 years.
I feel like every morning I wake up and I'm reminded that was a thing that actually happened is like Pig in a Poke.
The
heat of the moment starts playing.
Of the moment. Pretty much.
But yeah, we are so excited to see where everything else goes. We are so excited with where Eddie's story is going and how that relationship with Christopher is finally beginning to heal and they're living together again. Yay! They're back.
Reunited and
now
so good.
Buck and Eddie need to be reunited ASAP.
Yes. And Christopher.
Step
Christopher.
1. Eddie and Christopher. Step 2.
I need to see Buck and
NDE.
Christopher talk.
Step 3. Yeah.
I need to see if like the writers agree with what Oliver said that Buck hasn't talked to him at all, because that's so long.
That's so sad. Yeah. I'm they're gonna address it.
Yeah.
Especially if something happens to Eddie. They're gonna have to. So it's just a matter
anyway,
of
so when
time.
this episode comes out, that's when episode 14 drops. So
Good luck.
good luck.
May
Godspeed.
the odds be ever in your favor.
If you're on the other side of having seen it, hope
How you
all the
doing?
shit we said is still tracking.
Let us know.
Hope you're doing okay. Hope you're not crashing out.
And
Good luck on
actually
part 2.
maybe check on future us. See how we're doing.
Are you okay? No.
How are you
I'm not
feeling,
good.
buddy system?
Not good.
Not
I'm
great.
not feeling well.
Very bad.
Or great. I'm excited. Let's go for the next one.
Yes.
Yeah, by bad we mean like excitedly
Yeah.
suffering.
I'm so sorry. Just, can we have a 1 minute addendum? Ballroom dancer Eddie, you're so special to me.
Oh my god, yeah.
Did we not talk about ballroom dancing
We
Eddie?
sure didn't. We like had one mention and then we forgot to like loop back to it.
Yeah. Ballroom dancing. Oh, kind of like one of the things that he feels joy about is dancing, like we saw with Risky Business. Fascinating. Ballroom dancing? Please.
Anyway, I can't wait to see Eddie take Buck ballroom dancing in the kitchen.
I need to see him teach. They need to move the couch out of the way in the living room. He needs to teach Buck how to dance for whatever event they decide that's necessary for.
Dancing in the refrigerator light of the kitchen. One might say.
God.
We also didn't talk about the sets and the pictures that keep populating in the Buckley Diaz house and in the Texas house.
Put them on the next one.
And in Christopher's bedroom, where Christopher has a picture of his dad's.
Nice.
That has been my favorite thing that they've been doing this season.
Yeah, in the background.
Yeah. And I normally never pay attention to this shit, but
Also, another quick addendum. Eddie's FaceTime contact, his contact for Buck.
Oh my god.
Is a photo of him in the conversation where Maddie's like, "Are you?" And he's like, "In love with Eddie?" And she saw her brother crashing out about being in love with Eddie and took a picture because she totally thought that it was going to be like the moment.
She was ready to send it to Chimney.
She was so ready, but it wasn't. So she just sent it to Eddie anyway.
Mm-hmm.
In my head, she gives him pictures for like daily check-ins. He's still alive. He's fine, even though they FaceTime at least twice a day. Anyway, that was wild of them to do. What a choice.
They could have chosen so many other pictures.
Literally anything else.
remember, don't go ballroom dancing.
But if you do,
take a buddy with you.
Thank you for listening to the Buddie System podcast from start to finish.
We literally cannot shut up about 911, so please come talk to us on your favorite social media platform.
We're at Buddie System Pod everywhere. That's BUDDIE System Pod.
Leave a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts to get a personal shout out in the next episode. The Buddie System is a Nerd-Vergent media production featuring music from Divinity.
Can't get enough of the buddies? Subscribe to our Patreon for access to exclusive content in our Discord community.
Catch you next time, and don't forget,
Bring a buddy with you.